Okay, welcome everyone to this fantastic January session of 2023, the New Year session. And first and foremost, we begin with the Ganesh mantra. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatim Havamahi Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिसीदसादनम् ॐ गणेशाय नमः. And another couple of, because it is the Vasant Panchami today, we definitely sort of one of my favorite mantras from the Rig Veda. Pavakana Saraswati Vajarabhi Vajanivati Yagyam Vashtu Dhiya Vasu. And finally to Lord Shiva. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Okay, so welcome everyone. I have great pleasure of having all of you along for our journey today on what is in store for 2023. We have quite a few lineup here, and but to begin with, we begin with Mohan Raja. Mohan Raja has been studying for like decades now, in terms of he finished his Gemini and now he's on to the Parashara. In fact, he even has spoken at many times in divinations, including the SJC conference as well, last year in December. And he will be talking about a very specific technique about on a personal level, and he will be taking up some charts, personal level in terms of Shani's transit to Jupiter, and he will be touching upon some of how it pans out in the Varga charts too. So please give him a warm welcome, Mohanji.
Namaste, Sonalji. Namaste, everybody. Happy Vasanta Panchami to everybody. So let me share my screen.
You're still the host, right?
Yeah. I'm.
Okay.
So let me share my screen. Okay. So I'd like to start with Guru Mantra. Om Gurave Nam. Om Gurave Nam. Om Gurave Nam. So this is one of the best stutis I have found for Shani. It's good idea to start with this, and it's good idea to learn this and by heart this. And it's very easy stutis for Shani. So I would like to chant this and go ahead with the session. Namaste Khona Samsthaya Pingalaya Namostute. Namaste Babru Rupaya Krishnaya cha Namostute. Namaste Rudra Dehaya. Namaste Chayantakaya cha. Namaste Yamasanchaya. Namaste Sauraye Bibo. Namaste Yamasanjaya. Shinischaraya Namostute. Prasadam Mamadevasya. Dhinasya. Pranatasya cha. Okay, good. So the whole idea of this stuti is that you're taking different names of the Shani and bowing down to him and asking him to give you the ability to rise above the suffering. Simple. And he has this potential to do that, anyway. So every bit of this teaching, every bit of this presentation is inspired from teachings of Pandit Sanjay Rath. I want to say this, everything is Rathatraya Ankitam, dedicated to Rathatraya Parampara and everything. Yeah. So When I was trying to understand my initial study about Shani, when you start Jyotish, everybody go very crazy. Everybody will ask you about what is going to be my story with this new Shani transit. My Gemini teacher Lakshmi ji shared that you should study Murti Nirnaya. But then, with time you evolve and you understand that there is more to it, because in the parampara you learn so much. And it's always good idea to learn a principle through a story. So there are two beautiful stories where Shani is very much part of it. So I'm going to share these two stories to establish the principle. So, Parvati had this curse and she was not conceiving a child. So she had Ganesha, and she invited everybody for the naming ritual. And she sent her messengers to the Shani, and everybody was coming, and Shani was not very much interested to come, and he was very reluctant to come, stating that his drishti is bad. It is an inference that for all of us that Shani drishti has a very big say. Anyway, Parvati uh, insisted Shani to come. So Shanidev has come, and Shani Drishti has fallen on the Ganesha, and we know the story after that. Shani Drishti fallen on the Ganesha, because obviously, if the cosmic force is creating a baby, we can understand how beautiful he can be. The more Jupiter Tattva is manifesting through it, you know. So the Drishti has fallen, and the Shiva, the Rudra, taken his head away. Mukha has been removed for the Ganesha that we know. Okay, Mukha, that is very, very important. Okay. So who is Karaka for Mukha? Mukha, if I have to map, it is second house. Karaka is Jupiter. Okay. So Shani Drishti is going to impact Jupiter in this context. Good. There is one more story that is very relevant for us. Is Narada Ravana Samvada. Ravana had a son called Indrajit. Why he got the name Indrajit is because he defeated Indra, that time Indra, and got the throne and gifted it to the Ravana to sit on it. What Ravana did is that Ravana made all the Navagrahas to be there as the steps, such that he can climb on each graha to sit on the throne. And Narada is like great grandfather to the Ravana. They are all belong to the same lineage. So, Brahma, starting from Brahma to the Ravana, they are the same lineage. So Narada came to the Ravana. Narada came to the Ravana and saw the scenario that grahas are struggling. Grahas are seeing all Navagrahas are seeing very tough time. So now Narada knows how to play a trick here. So Narada suggested Ravana to place all the grahas to see you, such that they can see you, they can feel the energy that you possess, or they can feel that they are inferior to you, something like that, such that Shani Drishti has fallen on Ravana. And we know the story, how Ravana has fallen because of the Rama and the episode of Sita's abduction and all. So here, if you see, the throne is associated with 10th house. We call it as Akasha Lagna, right? Akasha is the tattva of Jupiter. So basically, Jupiter is basically influenced by the Saturn. If Shani Drishti is fallen, if there is a Jupiter there, or something to do with Jupiter, then we can expect that Jupiter will be taken away from that Jataka. Okay, good. But when we try to understand, is it normal drishti that we have to use, or sputa drishti? That is very, very important to establish. Saturn is trying to induce bhava to you. It is not going to impact any resources kind of thing. A death is an event on a given day. It is going to last in your head for so long. It is going to be the bhava that is important. So we have to use bhava madhya based drishtis. That's why we have to use sputa drishtis. Okay, sputa drishti of Saturn. How do we know where it is impacting, how it is impacting? We are going to use Tithi Pravesha for this. So draw your year Tithi Pravesha, see where your Saturn is, see where it is giving drishti on. I will show this with examples. such that you understand. And I have established that Jupiter is important, in this Parvati Shani Samvada and Narada Ravana Samvada. Jupiter is the core, and if Jupiter is being impacted, we can expect that some jiva is being lost. Jiva means energy, life energy, basically. And if Saturn is impacting 6th or 8th or 12th houses, it also means that you are going to see some tough time in that Virga, or basically anywhere for that matter. So there is from these stories, the remedy of Hanuman comes in. So I'll talk about remedies at the end, or maybe the second round of it. Okay, let me go to the chart. Okay, these are the examples I have for you very quickly. Narendra Modi, Donald Trump, and Prince Harry. So this is the chart of Narendra Modi. Hope my screen is visible. The story part is clear. Please disturb me if you have some questions in between.
It's
Anyway,
fine, Mohanji.
yeah. So see here, we have drawn Narendra Modi's chart. We have taken Narendra Modi's horoscope. So he has taken birth in September. So his mother passed away very recently, like 1 month back, I think. So we have to draw Tithi Pravesha for 2022. So from September to 17, 2022 to next year, that is 2023 September, roughly, it doesn't coincide with your Gregorian date. Roughly, it is that 2022 Tithi Pravesha has to be used. Now take the Shani. Okay, take the Shani. See which houses are being impacted by Shani. You know why, you know how this works. So every graha has 4 pada drishti, 3 pada drishti, 2 pada drishti, and 1 pada drishti. Each pada is given 15 points. So 15 fours are 60, 30 and 45. If it is above or 45, it is nearing 4 pada drishti. So you can take 50 or above as 4 pada in this context. So house 9 and house 5 is being impacted. What is house 9 and house 5 here? House 5 is Aries, house 9 is Leo. House 9 is Aries, house 9 is Leo, and house 5 is Aries. So these two signs are very important for us for this entire year to see these two signs are very, very important. See if there is Jupiter in those signs in all Vargas. So when I mean Vargas, you should start with D2 to understand finances, Kashinath Hora, Parivritti to understand family, all those aspects, and D3 siblings, D4 property issues, D7 children, D9 spouse, D10 work, D16 comforts, D24 education. All those things has to be understood in a different context, but you are supposed to use all Varga charts. So we understood from the Narendra Modi chart that Aries is the focus sign and Leo is the focus sign that are being impacted by the Shani. Okay, good. So see here for Narendra Modi, Jupiter is in Aries. That is going to be bad for him, very bad for him. Are you able to see this Lord Surya being in 8th house from Chandra, and 3rd and 8th from the Karaka is getting impacted? We know that 3 and 8th is manifestation of death for the mother. Okay, so it's very easy. Once you figure out that, okay, this is the impact sign, then you can read it from the Karaka to get the whole picture. Okay, good. Let me show you the next example. Okay, good. So this is a chart of Donald Trump. So he lost power. He lost power. So for making prediction about power and getting new throne and all, we use D10. So the election happened after his birthday, around his birthday or after his birthday, 2020. So we know how he got COVID and all. So I drew the 2020 Tithi Pravesh. I'm going to use Shani here. See here, house 8 is being impacted and house 12 is being impacted. So from this Lagna, house 8 has to be marked, which is Pisces, and house 12 has to be marked, so which is Cancer. So now see his D10 here. Pisces has Saturn, Venus. Oh, it's very exalted, everything. When there is an exalted graha, you should see, is there any Uchchabanga for him? Uchchabanga, that's very advanced concept maybe, but make sure that Shani has this potential to trigger Uchchabanga. Okay. If you see this, Saturn is in Parivartana with Jupiter. Saturn is in Parivartana with Jupiter. So basically the Saturn is being impacted. So this is fifth house where we make predictions about power and authority. So this is MKS, debilitated energy, being impacted by debilitation. Karaka is Saturn, and Marana is also given by Shani. So we know that this debilitation and Marana Karaka is being triggered, so he lost his power. Very simple. So is this that simple? Yes, it is. That's the whole point of Shani Gochara. When we talk about Shani, you have to understand one beautiful thing. In the story, Mother Parvati was very happy with the episode that she had this child after so long wait. And Ravana was like in cloud 9 with the throne of Indra. Suddenly the Saturn aspect destroyed everything for them. So if they are very confident about their things, just okay, good. Maybe we should.
Okay. Hello,
good.
everyone. Can you please mute?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is, so Nicha energy being activated, Marana energy being activated should be understood like this. Okay. Saturn has this potential to take your beautiful future away in front of your eyes. So be very, very sure to check this aspect in your Jataka. And recently, like 6-7 months back, Donald Trump lost his first wife. This is the chart of his chart. I mean, recently in 2022, July, I think, he lost his first wife. Oh, he got divorced. So will it be reflected in his Jataka? Yes. Once you take religious oath in front of your belief, whatever it is going to reflect in your Jataka, period. It is not that you sign paper and everything ended. It's not like that. It's a different story altogether. So I am taking 2022 Tithi Pravesha, Saturn. House 6 is being impacted by Saturn. So I'm going to use house 6, which is Libra. So house 6. So I have to use Libra here. Very simple. Libra. There is no Jupiter here. If I really see, there is no Jupiter in Libra. Is there Jupiter in Libra? No. Okay, there is no Jupiter in Libra. Give me a minute. Oh, I missed it. Good. Forgive me for this detail. Anyway, so see here, for him in this Jataka, Venus is conjoined with, it is Gemini Lagna, 8th Lord is the Maraka for spouse. 8th and 2nd is Maraka for the spouse. And it got activated. So Saturn is all about 8th house first, 12th house next, then 6th house. So you should go like this. The high priority, if 8th house is getting impacted, triggered, the intensity of the event is so high. 12th house is like less than 8th, but more than 6th kind of scenario. Okay, like that. So this is being impacted. He lost the first spouse. This is about the Donald Trump's horoscope. And let me show you one important case study that I found. Are you able to see this chart of Prince Harry? The software is being visible?
Yes.
Yes, good. So what I did is so I don't want to, I want to show something that is very good in Sri Jyotisha. That's why I'm using software. So let's see. Okay, good. So for Prince Harry, we know he has been in news from 2020 after his marriage with Meghan Markle. We know everything. What has happened, the conflict with the father, brother, losing comforts, not having a home, leaving royal duties. Oh, there is so much happening in his life, right? Let's see what happened. Okay. So Saturn, you have to see the Saturn. So Saturn is impacting house 5, house 9, house 12. Okay. So I have to mark from Lagna. From Lagna, house 5 is Pisces. Pisces. House 9 is Cancer. I have to mark Cancer. And house 12 is Libra. I have to mark Libra. These signs becomes important. So we know that his Jupiter should not be in Pisces or Cancer or Libra. That's it. Very simple. Are you able to see here D2 Kashinath?
Yes.
So he has Jupiter here. D2 Kashinath. He has Jupiter in yeah, good. So let me see. D3, problem with brother, right? There is no Jupiter here. Are you able to see here Moon conjoined with Jupiter, and it is activating kind of problem for him here? Yes, but the brother scenario was not very much out yet. Okay, it was not there in 2020 at least. Okay, D4. Are you able to see Jupiter here? Are you able to see Jupiter in Pisces? Yes. D9, no Jupiter, nothing, right? Oh, he was very comfortable in that. No Jupiter is being triggered. D10, Jupiter is in Pisces. D10, Jupiter is in Pisces. So D16, there is no Jupiter thing, kind of thing happening. So it's okay. So hope I am making sense to all of you. The idea is that single transit of Saturn at Rashi level can impact all your workers based on the Sputa Drishti. That's the whole takeaway. But there is a subtle Navamsha Gochara technique that we employ to understand which the Antardasha is going to give that. That's for a different day. But this helps you to understand what is that you are going to experience. At Rashi level, you are very important. And we can be sure that you are going to experience something bad in each Varga based on the Saturn-Jupiter thing. And there is some notes that I have made for you all. Let me share that as well, such that you can appreciate this series. So I think my time is going like up. So Donald Trump loss of wife is done. See here. So if Karaka for debilitation is Saturn, okay, if the Saturn is impacting a sign, if it has Mercury, if it has debilitated Graha, or the Lord of it is debilitated, or if it is getting Uchabanga or something like that, it is Saturn's story. Saturn has activated it. If it is activating 6, 8, 12 in Varga, make sure that you are making a prediction that it is going to be challenging during that period. And you will make the subtle prediction using Navamsha Gochara. Okay, good. Watch out for Maraka and Badaka, because it can take life away sudden. It can take life away, or it can trigger event very, very suddenly. Okay, that's it. I think there are a few more examples from my personal practice. I'll show them later. Hope the principle is established clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super.
good.
Mohanji, fantastic. We would want some personal examples. Maybe we could do some of that. Indeed. Anyone, any questions so far?
Feel free.
So no, I'm sorry, I have a question. Uchabanga means so that
you know Nichabanga, right? So
yes, yeah.
a planet is in Nicha. You take the lord of it, or exaltation lord of it, and try to understand if it is in Kendra from the moon or Lagna, right?
Yes.
So if it is placed in Dustana, you can do the same prediction that Ucha is being removed. If it is in Kendra, Nicha is being removed, right? If the Ucha dispositor or something is placed in Dustanas, that is Ucha Banga. Understood?
Yes. Thank you very much, Mohanji. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Anyone, any more questions? This is so Mohanji, correct me if I'm wrong. So you do need the Tithi Pravesh chakra for that, right?
Yes. So if you are worried about like Sri Jyotishtar only having it, no, Jehora also has it. Let me show you that such that you can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Jehora has this. So you can make your Tithi Pravesha here. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Here you can make your Tithi Pravesha by clicking whatever here. And you can just click on this and go to here, aspect table with relationship, I think. Does it show? I think it should be showing screen share. Is it
Yeah, I
showing?
can see the screen, but you're talking about
Mhm.
Tithi Pravesh, right?
Yes, maybe. Yeah. So like this, it will show. Okay. Sun, house. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So it is available in Jehor as well. And it is mathematically mostly accurate. And it is even easy for you to see with Jehora in a way, because it
Yes.
is going to tell you that is it Adirashi, Mitrarashi, Sitrarashi, all those things can be easily figured out from this. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Can you show which houses you check Shani Drishti and which Varga chart do you use from
Uh-huh.
Tithi Pravesh?
Yeah, I can. I already think I
But
showed.
that
Wait.
will vary, right? Rosario, that will
Yeah.
vary depending on
The
what
DT Pravesh chart. You don't. My question was like, did you
Yeah. No.
use
We see the Seni Drishti and bring it back to the Rashi chart. I mean, natal Jataka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a chart, not DT Pravesh chart.
Not
Then
Tithi
is
Pravesha.
Varga.
No.
No,
So
no. Understand something
Okay.
like this. Parvati wanted to have a son, Ganapati. It's her own desire, her own D7, right? Tithi
Yes,
Pravesha
correct.
may show the possibilities. That's it.
Mm.
And Shani Drishti is blocking it for time being in that Tithi Pravesha. That's it. We don't experience problems for lifelong. Shani Drishti is going to come, give you an experience so bad or so good sometimes if it transits on trinal lots. But yeah, it can give you a bad experience and it will let you go. And you have to come and experience it in your natal Jataka at the end of the day. Understood?
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So basically, you lost a job. Let's assume that you lost a job. It is being given by the Saturn. So we'll wait for the Saturn to move and we'll go find one more job based on our own natal Jataka. Our skills are not going to change, or our ability to find the job is not going to change. Our willpower to find the job is not going to change just because Saturn has impacted you in Tithi Pravesh. Natal Jataka is very, very important. Got it?
yeah.
Got
Good.
it.
Yeah, good.
Just one question. So the DT Pravesh you use it just for the possibility if there is the Shani Drishti on particular house, and then you go back in the D1 Kundalini and divisional chart to see
So
if
you
the
are
events affect.
Yeah. So let me rephrase your question. So we are finding the Saturn Drishti on the signs in the Tithi Pravesh based on the Drishti, and we are saying that these are the signs that are important. Okay. For example, Pisces is important in Prince Harry's horoscope. Then we are going to see Pisces in all Vargas. All Vargas. Dasha Vargas you have to see. D2, D3, D4, like that. If there is Jupiter, it is going to impact Jupiter. I mean, it is going to make you experience very bad, because if Jupiter is closing his eyes, then it's like a tsunami there. It's like a tornado there, That's the idea. Yeah. Got
Okay.
it.
Yes, wonderful technique, Mohan Rajaji. Thank you very, very much. And don't go away because we will discuss further, much more
Sure.
personal level,
Yeah,
and do the Tithi Pravesh, maybe for country, which is my technique. I'm trying to kind of push the boat here. And now, where is, who's going next? Sorry.
Thank you for the opportunity, Sonalji.
Yeah,
I'll
not at
stay
all.
back. I'll stay
Yeah.
back.
Absolutely wonderful to have you here. So who's yes, Nathan, is it Nathan? Hi Gordon, I can see you.
Sonal, I've been delayed. I'm sorry, I'm a bit late.
No,
Do you
it's
mind?
okay, you look wonderful. Are you keeping well?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
lovely. So where's Nathan?
Nathan is here.
Okay, lovely. So Nathan, shall I think I need to share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, because you handed me over the presentation here. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay, so just a quick intro for those who don't know, Nathan Theo Naikar. He is from South Africa. He has been, of course, originally a petroleum engineer, and he has been in our parampara of Pandit Sanjay Rath. He's enrolled in all the courses. He also teaches in the parampara, and he is a Western as well as a Vedic astrologer, and he has been studying Western for a number of years. But you did study Western in South Africa, didn't you, Nathan?
Yes, one of my teachers is there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, lovely to have you back. He was also he's spoken umpteen number of times for divinations as well as conferences all around the world, including ISAR and a few others, Western astrology conferences. Nathan also spoke at the SJC conference held last year in Jagannath Puri, as did Mohan Raja in December. So yes, we were all together. It was great fun. So please welcome. And he's still in India. So, for our awaiting our final certification. So please give him a warm welcome. And he is going to talk about personal development journey for all the signs based on this Shani or Saturn transit. So over to you, Nathan.
Thank you, Sonal. Namaste, namaskar, and vanakkam to everybody. Om Sri Ganeshaya Namah. Om Gurave Namah. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini. Vidyarambham Karishyami. Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Namo Vayutraya Bhimarupaya Dhimate. Namaste Ramadutaya Kamarupaya of all mundane charts for several countries. Hopefully,
Nathan, I think the voice is Nathan. Nathan.
So now let me know if it.
Yeah, I can't hear you. It's dragging your voice. That mantra, everything, nothing was. Could everybody hear it? Sorry, I need some.
Yeah,
sorry?
seems like he's got a bad network. It seems.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sounds like you're underwater, Nathan. So maybe the internet connection needs boosting. The network doesn't seem so good.
Nathan.
Oh, I think he's dropped out.
Okay, so forget about him.
I'm back. I'm here.
Oh, he's
okay.
back. He's back.
Can you continue, or shall we?
Yes.
Okay, lovely.
No, I've just moved to I've moved right next to the router. So
okay, fantastic.
This is the best.
Okay, lovely.
This is
Carry
the best.
calling?
Okay, so yes. So as I was saying,
I'm in the middle of a meeting online.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. As I was saying, so with the Saturn transits, and really the transits of Saturn and Jupiter, there's a lot of hype, and Mohan Raja did a good presentation in showing us how the sattva is affected in the Vargas, with the Shani Gochara. So that was very good to see. Sorry. What I want to do is just sort of simplify things a bit in terms of what are the main things to focus on. What I've noticed with the Saturn transits is that I've paid attention to the retrogrades. And, they roughly occur every year, for several months at a time. And whether they occurred in the middle of the year, or the beginning of the year, or the end of the year, I really find that the focus is centered around that. And we can say so much about Shani Drishtis, as we've seen, and I'm sure all over YouTube we are hearing and being bombarded by all the time on social media right now. But I wanted to just make it simple. What is the one thing that you can focus on, you can develop with, and sort of rebuild foundations? Because I think that is an important aspect of the role of Shani as the natural ruler of the 10th house, being a Kendra. We all have work to do here. We all have things to contribute to the sustenance of life. And we all have a responsibility to doing that fully and properly. Why is this happening? It keeps on going off. It's gone off again. No, the Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. Am I still here?
Yes, we can see your
yes,
screen.
Yes, okay,
yes.
am I back?
Yes, we
Okay,
can see everything clearly.
yes, thank you. I thought it had gone off. Yes, so let's move on, Sona, before we get disrupted again. So what I've done is I've just focused on the retrograde periods for each of the years that Saturn has been in his own sign. And you can look at it from the moon lagna or from lagna if you choose to do so. I prefer to focus on the moon lagna because that is more to do with society and people and what we are on about and events out there in our social life and social sphere, which Shani really cares about. And from the Lagna perspective, it may be sort of mundane decisions, important decisions that you have to take within that context as well. So first read it from the moon sign and then read it from the Lagna. So, I mean, people that have this, you can take screenshots and look at each year, the focus that is changing. And what I wanted to say, yes, we know that for Aries, they're overcoming limitations in the workplace and being pushed to innovate with new gains. And maybe they have to now seclude themselves and get busy with their ideas before going out into the world and testing them. They may be reworking their network, their social network, their friendships. But really is, the question, the overarching question here is those contacts and networks that we have, really, how useful are they going forward? Now you have to maintain them. You've done all the work. You've overcome various inequities in the work situation, in how you're working, being able to work. And now you have to prepare for the future, whatever necessities need to come, and make the most of it, sustain those efforts going forward. And for each year, within the context of that broad overview, each year is telling a particular story, contributing to that journey. And so really, you can spend a lot of time looking at each one individually, Saturn transiting the 10th and 11th houses for Aries, we can say those broad themes, but each year specifically, what is the contributing area that we are having to work on and set new foundations in and get better at, to be very honest. So these are not blocks, these are not showstoppers, because even Shani eventually moves on. And so these are things that we have to take a momentary pause to ensure that day to day, month by month, we are doing something towards rectifying and doing it better. And that will lay a proper foundation year by year as we go through the Saturn transit periods to ensure that the overall themes, the overall goals are achieved and are ending up at a better place. So this is Aries. We can go to Taurus. Thank you. So for Vrishabha, so 2020, 4th house. I mean, again, I've just put general indications here as the bhava descriptions are. But of course, those of you who know more Jyotish and fancy about it, and you can look at those particular houses in your chart in 2020. Look at your 4th house, whether it's Natiti Pravesh, or look at the 4th house related Vargas, look at the 4th house in your Rashi chart. Yeah, pay attention to that bhava, because in all these matters there's a testing that is happening and a development that is being called upon. Overall for Taurus, we know they're moving from a place of fortune and predestiny to labor and work, putting their theory to the test. They're confirming their faith, they're clarifying their ideas and even whatever they've learned, education that they have. And now they have to do something tangible about it. You've gotten all the good ideas and benefited in some way and had to restructure your beliefs and maybe your view of things and the view of your world personally. And now you have to now make a showing of that. It's time to go out there and do something about it, do something with it. And this is the overarching journey for Taurus, 4th house, 7th house, 11th house, 2nd house, and the 6th house. And I've included, why have I included, all the years, including 2024? Because each year focusing so much on Shani, if you look too closely at your problems, you sort of get lost in it and don't see it in the context of the broader perspective. And so actually what is happening each year is leading you into the next. And so I would like you, to look at it as building a foundation, various floors of the building that you're building in this way. And these are the areas each year that need to be worked on. Okay, Gemini. For Gemini, all right, they start off with a lot of activity, 3rd house being very busy. But, being sort of cautious and careful at every move, their words are being watched, 2020, what are you saying? Who are you speaking to? Making sure everyone that they are associating with is okay in their relationships. Maybe they have stayed in relationships and partnerships for financial survival. But now they're either taking that to a whole new level. Okay, so they are taking those people that have stayed with him, those people that have shared in their financial miseries or fortunes, that a relationship or partnership can move to the next level. You've been through difficulties with people, so you are honoring those partnerships. Or it can also be that maybe those things you were holding on to with people for financial survival, they are outgrown their time with you, and now you're striking out on your own and going on an adventure and making your own fortune of things. And so there's a sense of predestiny for sure about the future, and having the right knowledge now is going to make all the difference. Having the right knowledge and having the right contacts now going forward is going to make all the difference. So you can see that, we have 2 of the Raja Bhavas here, the 10th house and the 5th house, and the Lagna is also indicated. So, they are moving from challenges in interacting with people, broadly speaking, to building really their own personal little kingdom. Thank you. So now Cancer. Coming to Cancer, what are we looking at here? Okay, so really when I think about Cancer and the journey with Saturn, it's really about cutting your losses with people and partnerships and moving on. Getting dragged down by other people's issues and responsibilities may have placed or are placing more burdens on them, more than what they're willing to contribute, especially as time goes on. And it puts those relationships under strain. So letting go of people that need to be let go of, taking insurances and assurances, for any shortfalls you might feel. Codependency is a big issue at this point. So you're learning to move on from those, learning to move beyond those limitations. And even if you're going to have either financial difficulties or things like that in the short term, you get to a point where it's worth it to move forward, move boldly forward. So a question of independence, really, a question of self-reliance comes up while still deciding what shared responsibilities to keep and what shared responsibilities to let go of. And so it's a very big time to choose for Cancer. Leo. For Leo, starting off with Saturn influence in the first house in 2020, probably not the best of things. But really overcoming, you can see that and they're ending up with the third house. So the journey is from the first house to the third house in a hidden way. So what is happening here, all the Leo people out there, is you're getting a new role, you're learning the value of your voice. You shouldn't be wasting your words in precious time. So overcoming issues in their work and struggles that they've had in finding the right people to work with. Sometimes people may have felt that they are not up to task, or they're not being recognized for the work they're doing, and that may have put a damper on their sense of progress that they have in their professional lives. And so the challenge here is in moving forward, finding a better path in this, more purposeful partnerships with people. And the challenge here is to remain committed in those new connections that they are making with people. And because the challenge is for you to rise to the occasion, to also make it work, to make a useful contribution, to be responsive to changes that those new connections and commitments require of you, to make the period work better. So putting yourself out there also, if you've been more cloistered and working hard, and it's also can be beneficial for serious developments in relationships. Okay, I'm not going each year by year because of time. I need to give time to my other colleagues here. For Virgo, you can see the Saturn transits have started with the 12th house, while I've been ending with the second house. So really, this is very much a personal journey and a financial one for Virgo. While in the interim, choosing who you're connecting to becomes important in each of the years in the middle. But really, it's about it's about depending. Yes. Okay. Learning to depend on yourself. Really, you get to a point where you learn that if you want something done properly, you've got to do it on your own. And the challenge there to do that on your own, enjoying status and recognition. Is the connection still a problem?
No, it's fine. Don't worry. It's fine. Don't worry. I think that's why you don't have the video on, I'm assuming. So
Yes.
yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. It should be clear on the recording, though, I think. I hope. Okay. Enjoying status and recognition, but it does come with responsibility to show up and perform on your own in what you want to be done with people and for yourself. We can go to Libra. All right. I do apologize for the internet. I can't get any closer to the router, so just bear with me. For Libra, right, it's starting with the 11th house and ending with the first house. So really, the role of the network, the role that you have in your network or organization or your social sphere, is it really worth it? Are you not giving enough time for yourself in that to have a voice? You need to stand up, you need to speak up, you need to emerge in a new way out of that. All your social connections and the people that you know, it can't just be for the sake of knowing people and talking to people. It has to have serve a function personally for you. What we can say here, well, just go back to Libra, please. Yes. So what we can say is that, too much work and not enough time for their personal health and for quality time with family. And so some of the forward progress can be delayed or can feel delayed until you really consolidate on the personal and integrate better health habits into your work-life balance. That becomes actually a reason and a way and a measurement for you to know that you're moving forward. So it's almost as if the quality of your sleep is not good, then the financial situation is going to be also insecure in that way. Okay, moving on to Scorpio. Scorpio is having an interesting journey, from the 10th house ending up with 8th house and 12th house in the next, 2 years. And so making hay while the sun shines is what needs to happen here, and preparing for eventual emergencies and necessities that may come up towards the end, because personal responsibilities come up for you to. There's a waxing period and a waning period, basically. And Scorpio is very familiar with that sort of journey anyway, being the sign of Scorpio. But you can see that we're moving from wanting to speak. Do you really want to be heard? How do you want to be heard? Speaking up, communication. How do you want that to be happening? Other people not listening to you, misunderstanding, losing communication. Every time you open your mouth, it may feel one step forward, two steps back, kind of thing. But as you can see, the focus moves to home and family and their health, and really needing to dig deep, find the purpose to become a dependable person, not just for the people that are close to them in the next 2 years, but also for themselves to show up and be that. Educate, still on Scorpio. Thanks. Education and close friendships become important and are finally bearing fruit. But maybe adopting a more functional lifestyle rather than a lifestyle focused may help free energy up for them. And also, if you're living minimally or functionally, then losses are going to be less and can be shouldered much easier. Sagittarius, we are starting here with the 9th house, Saturn influence on the 9th house and ending up in the 11th house. And so that sort of journey speaks to, the limitations on our horizons. We need to narrow our options down. We need to choose from so many different avenues and possibilities. And maybe we've cast our net too far. And for fortune to really shine on us, we need to sort of be very selective. So busy running around, with family issues, trying to be right and do right by everyone and remain still upstanding. Maybe sometimes they failed in that and maybe sometimes they've not. But the challenge still remains to remain humble and to watch your words. And don't forget to give others a chance to find out their own truth as well, especially the people that are closely around you in their own time. Yes, you may need to speak up and speak out and say what you need to say, but don't lose compassion and don't lose people along the way. Because if you're ending up in 11th house here at the end of Saturn transit in its own sign, you're going to need the people also. The people factor make a difference. So there's a compromise here between being right all the time and keeping people around. Okay, there's a better way of doing that. And then going to Capricorn, we come into the signs of Saturn now. So 8th house to 10th house. So this sign is having a transformative journey, okay, that is ending up more functional, which is in line with Capricorn's impulses anyway, in how they look at life. So from strength and various options and strategies for financial gain that they've had to use, they're now having to proceed cautiously and moreover truthfully to maintain and sustain those gains in their personal lives, financially or otherwise. So the challenge is to overcome their strong identification with what they own and what they possess, and that can also include people, depending on who you are. While the responsibilities are seemingly ever increasing. Morality becomes the test, ethics becomes the test, and honesty becomes the test that helps them sustain their gains going forward. And then for Aquarius, Aquarius is basically coming out of their shell. You know, there's a movement here from the 7th house, ending up in the 9th house. And so, you know, yes, you have to get out of privacy and being secluded and being prepared and constantly preparing things. And maybe that's what you've been busy doing or been had to retreat in order to show up or lick your wounds. And but as time goes on, you know, coming out of your shell, slowly gaining confidence, having, you know, shouldered various setbacks, but you know, being out in the open again also means you're exposed, and be prepared for any misgivings or personal flaws to be pointed out, because it's actually going to be helpful for you. And various truths with your relationships and others around you coming to light. Okay, so you're going to be able to see your relationships in a truthful light. And that may not be what you like, but you have to find a way to consolidate that and accept it and move forward integrating it. But you will have the knowledge to weather the storm. And finally, last but not least, is Pisces. You know, this, you know, you can see that it's starting and ending with so-called problematic houses, 6th house and 8th house. And in between is all this apparent good stuff. So 9th house, 1st house, and 4th house happening. So the period is bookended by challenges, okay? So the challenge here with Pisces is that, you know, not to be too comfortable in the interim years, but to really optimize them and make sure that you're not just enjoying the good things, but you're also making reservations and making time for problems in the future. So don't spend all your money, don't use all your savings. You don't have to take 3 trips in a year. You can just take 1, okay? Because you will need those additional funds in emergency things that you've stored up. So maybe going from a more out there, life is busy, you know, a lot of people, interacting with a lot of people, to actually you need time on your own. You need time to scale back actually and adopt a simpler lifestyle. And maybe that's good that your network is shrinking or you're shifting it, being more selective in which groups you are becoming a part of going forward. Income may be coming down, but you're obviously having gains in the interim 3 years to make that up, to continue surviving and bouncing back up again. However, it's going to be good to tighten your belt and do some serious budgeting to make the most of all these changes. And so in a nutshell, I mean, you can go back and look at each of the years specifically for everybody. And again, like I said, for each of the years, you know, you look at the respective bhavas in the various vargas. So it is general what is here. But of course, with your astrologer, with yourself, with your teachers, you can talk about all the various personal vagaries in the vargas. So, as Mohanji gave an example of. But I found that this method gives a good sort of personal project to focus on each year, because we all worry about what Saturn's going to take away. Great, but we also need to be concerned about what am I building my life upon. And so this is just a different way of looking at the Saturn transits, especially paying focus on the retrograde periods. Thank you. And sorry again about the internet,
No
but I hope
worries.
that it
No
will be
worries.
all right on the
No
recording.
worries. That's wonderful. So, any questions, anyone? That was amazing. This was like quite clear, and any, you know, I think it worked for me for sure. The Scorpio, the focus is on, sort of
Mm.
loans and taxes and all of that, all 8th house stuff.
Yeah,
I can,
these are more background things that, we, again, you listen to all the Saturn videos whenever Saturn transit happens and you forget about it for the next 2 years. So this way you have something as a checklist for each year, actually, to make sure you are building and working on and improving for yourself rather than getting caught up in the doom and gloom that tends to happen.
yeah.
Even though it's there for some, but it's not as extreme for everybody all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and Nathan, is this for the was the emphasis more for the people who have it as for the Lagna, right?
So for the Lagna, you'll find that it's the decisions that you're having to, you can't ignore.
Okay,
Decisions
okay.
related to that bhava, okay? But also you need to rethink what your perspective on that bhava is, because Lagna is about preferences and priorities based upon our likes and dislikes largely. So if you're looking at it from a Lagna sign, it's really the bhavas are going to be, hey, look at this in a different way. I'm trying to show you something different here from what you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
You need to be innovative in your thinking. You need to maybe ask a friend for a phone hotline or something. But basically a limitation in your thinking is causing a problem there.
Right.
And you need to take better decisions to make it work better. Whereas from the moon as a Lagna being the mind and our connection to society and people in general, this is usually what people notice more. So it's events and circumstances around us that we are facing, that are arising, that are meeting us, we are going into and getting involved in as a part of society, as a moving part of society, and the people and groups that we are a part of. So those are the two sort of subtle lenses I would suggest looking at it from.
Yeah, wow, wonderful, very good.
Nathan,
Yes, Paul.
so want of clarification. Did you say that you're taking the periods when Saturn is retrograde?
Yes, but the Navamshas.
You're taking the Navamshas?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Because,
interesting. So you're taking the retrogrades for the whole year though, right?
yeah, so whichever retrograde periods that are happening, there's a focal nakshatra and a focal Navamsha around which it is centered on. And so that is what I have taken.
Okay, and then you bring it, so it's like a Amsha
Amsha
Tulya
Tulya
Rashi.
Rashi,
Yeah.
yes, correct.
But from the point of view of, oh, very nice, excellent, super.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how he reached to the houses mentioned for each year. Because I wasn't understanding. He said, for example, Shani current transit in Aquarius will impact for Pisces the 4th house.
Mm-hmm. So
we have to take the retrograde period of Shani and to look which nakshatra Amsha it's impacting.
Correct. Specifically, which Navamsha the retrograde period is centered around, because there's a direct motion of Saturn and there's a retrograde motion of Saturn back and forth. And so there will be an Navamsha that the whole retrograde motion focuses around. And so it really is as if that one Navamsha Rashi becomes a focal point in the mind, becomes a focal point in the nakshatra. And I haven't talked about the nakshatra parts here. But then taking that Rashi that is being stressed on either side by Saturn from the Navamsha into the Rashi, the D1 chart, and you can do it for other Vargas too. That is sort of where the grind is happening each year.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
actually the
those
opposite sign
those
because of the retrograde.
so those houses in the Rashi chart get lit up quite
Yeah, you know,
remarkably.
what I find is that people tend to know that there's a constant burden, slow grind happening there.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do with this technique is to put it out there explicitly so that you don't ignore it. Because we
Very
sort of
good.
tend to avoid our pain points. But there's something to be reworked there. And if you know what it is each year, you can see it clearly happening once you know what it is. It's like, oh yeah, that's actually been, and why I've chosen to show from 2020 to now is that you can verify, you can check, you can go back and see what have I done in that area of my life? Have I really?
Yeah. So Nathan, Isabel, just to clarify, and then we can move on because otherwise we'll be here all the time. For example, Scorpio, right? I can only speak this year. It is in the 8th house focus, right? For a Scorpio. Nathan, am I correct? So that means it is the sign of Gemini. So that means Saturn for the after March 2023, it is for the most part, it is in the nakshatra of Shatabhishad, which falls in, perhaps it is falling in the Rashi of, in the Navamsha, it's in
Well,
Gemini.
the Navamsha, the Capricorn, okay, so
Gemini.
let me be explicit. Okay, so
Just give
for
an
those
example
who
and
are
then,
students, so an example would be for 2023, all right?
Mhm.
So the Navamshas that contain the retrograde are Capricorn, where it starts, and then it goes back into Sagittarius, and then back into Scorpio, where it turns direct in the Navamshas.
Yeah.
All right. So it is centering around Sagittarius, isn't it? From Capricorn back to Sagittarius, back to Scorpio.
Yes.
Okay. So the focal point is Sagittarius, and because it is retrograde, it is giving the effect in the opposite Rashi. So that's why it becomes Gemini. And so that is how I've got Gemini for the year 2023.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Everybody getting this? It's quite simple. It's not.
Yes, it was complex, but now I can understand now if he could mention those. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we got this. Okay, so anyone, any questions? Let's move to Gordon.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Gordon, is Gordon here? Let me
Hello.
Hello, yes, lovely, Gordon, to hear from you. Fantastic. Let me, shall I make you, hang on, why am I, yes, got it. I'm going to make you the co-host. There we go.
All right.
There we go. So for those, I've made you the co-host. So for those of you who don't know Gordon Brennan, he's also one of the very first Gemini scholars, in the Parampara. And and you've been practicing for so long, Gordon.
Thank you very much.
He's also the co-founder of British Association of Vedic Astrology. He's based in the UK. And, he has been speaking at quite a few conferences, including Baba regularly, almost every year, Gordon. Am I correct in that?
Every year.
Founding, yeah.
So at some point, anyway.
Yes, wonderful. So please give him a very, very warm welcome. Gordon, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sonal. I'm going to talk about the Chaitra Shukla chart. So first of all, for those who don't know it really, just a little introduction. when the sun goes into Pisces each year, then that's kind of the start of spring. I know if you watch the weather forecast, they'll say March 21st, spring equinox, it's spring starting, right? Actually, if you look at the ground and you look at what's happening outside in nature, spring has started. So when the sun goes into Pisces about 6 or 7 days before that, that's the start of the spring season. And the spring season is dividing the year into 6, which is the old traditional way to do it, and they do it that way in India. That means that when the sun is in Pisces and Aries, that's the spring. So the start of the year is the spring. Yeah? Although there's a lot of preparation for the start of the year. So when the sun goes into Sagittarius, and you get a new moon in Sagittarius, then from that new moon, there's a lot of growth, but it's under the ground. Moolah is the constellation that's very often happening in. And so you get this new growth for the new year, and it's all comes manifesting in Pisces and Aries. So that's the reason to take the new moon in Pisces as the chart for the new year. And traditionally, astrologers would all get together and have a meeting and discuss the chart for the new year. Yeah? But we're only in January at the minute, so we're still in the last year's chart. Yeah? And if you think of the Russia-Ukraine thing, then that happened in the previous year's chart because it happened in February 2022. It started. So what I do is a kind of for my own satisfaction is a kind of survey of Chaitra Shukla charts. And I must apologize that I put this from Excel into PowerPoint. I'm just going to share my screen in a few minutes. I put this from Excel into PowerPoint. And of course, there's lots of data on this. And so, but I will explain the first couple of slides. So you'll see, I'm sure you'll find it interesting. So. Let's just go back up the top. There's the horrible page, which I should have spent. I'm sure you won't be able to read it, but I'll explain it. So along the top, we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and all the signs of the zodiac. And then underneath that, there are the 100, either mostly most populous, but a few are in there because they have a particular importance. So in a way, not, and it's not.
Gordon,
yeah?
Can we increase the font for this?
No, we can't.
Okay.
I put it from, perhaps if I went back to the original Excel. Right, okay, I can do that. Can I do?
What if you put it on full screen, Gordon? Will it make
no,
sense?
no, this is the PowerPoint. It won't change it. Hold on. I'll just go back to the page in Excel. Okay. Perhaps that'll be much better. Okay. And I'll minimize this, take this out of the way. Can you see this?
I can see this.
That's what I'm saying. Put it on full screen, Gordon. The PowerPoint, if you put it on full screen, then people will be able to see it.
Well, it is almost full screen.
Okay, Gordon, it's easy. You'll have to do a new share because when you are moving from one application to another, you have to move. So just do
I do a new share. Okay, yeah. Just a sec.
Okay, yeah.
Just a sec. Now I understand. Okay, hold on. Stop this one. Right. Good point. I did know that. So you should just about be able to see this.
Yes.
Little better. All
Yeah.
right. So what I've done is I have done a little chart of the countries and the capitals of the countries. So across the top, we've got Aries to Pisces in the first half of the page, with the degrees of the ascendants of the Chaitra Shukla charts. And then on the right-hand side of the page, taking up a little bit less space, which signs of the zodiac those ascendant degrees are in. Yeah. So you get, and it's very interesting, every year you get a great bunch all around one particular sign of the zodiac. These are the ascendants in Taurus in 2022. Yeah? Of the sort of the most, so there's about 40 of them, yeah, out of the 100. Yeah? And so you'll see what that this is. Taurus is a fixed sign, a tamas sign, so when the war got going, yeah, this sort of concentrated. It concentrates everybody's attention on big major issues. Yeah? And then if you look at, if I go down the page a bit, then there's all that goes down. That's the same as you saw on the right-hand side of the page. So if you look on the right-hand side of the page, there's lots of them. Then there's 2023, yeah, and 2023, another sign. This is dual energy this time. This is Virgo, 2023. Wow. Yeah. So there's lots of concentration on fixed energy in 22, and then that's all changing here in 2023. Yeah. And there's really so many countries. It is necessarily quite a lot of Europe, but also Africa and even Russia's in there, and a bit of the Middle East, and then very interestingly, in the other dual signs, that's Gemini, that's all of South America and the USA's ascendants, and Sagittarius, nearly all of Southeast Asia ascendants are in Sagittarius. So they're all square to each other, yeah, which can cause some tension. Yeah.
Wow.
So then I had a quick look at going back. If I go back to, I have to stop the share and come out again. But do you have any questions before I do?
Yeah, Gordon. So these countries, which are all in Virgo for the year 2023, they are all sort of like is that Europe? And no, because
a lot of it is Europe. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what. So because countries which have a cluster, yeah, I can see the cluster in Virgo. So that would be, because the time difference wouldn't be too varied. So they would have like more or less, they'll be on the same sort of zones, really. Is that why it's like so much of it is in Virgo? My God.
Yes, yeah. And Virgo is a large sign, so it's slow moving in the northern hemisphere.
Indeed,
it rises over the horizon very slowly.
Yes, indeed. It's a long sign, long ascension. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for, it's a great fundamental lesson. Fantastic. Yes, you'll have to do now a new share.
Right, I'll stop share and I'll go back to PowerPoint. Hold on, just a second. PowerPoint gone. Hold on. Where's my PowerPoint? The PowerPoint's disappeared. All right, I'll just have.
Sometimes it might be at the bottom when you click the screen share button. Sometimes you might have to scroll down. Sometimes it's at the bottom. Sometimes.
Right, just a sec. Let's just make sure.
Yeah.
I'm right out of the.
Or you could open it again, perhaps.
Yeah. Share screen. I'll open the. All right. Well, I can move around this. It's not that important. I'll move around the astrology program.
No, we can see it now.
Yeah, but you're seeing the astrology program itself. Yeah, it's all right.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We are happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
So Chaitra Shukla, Russia, 2022. No, 2021 it started in the Chaitra Shukla year of 2021. Yeah. So this is what kicked it off. Look at the sun and the moon. This is Russia's Lagna, with the sun and the moon in the Lagna at 28 degrees and 16, and in this Gandanta section, and in the third house, Taurus, you have this Mars Rahu situation in the border, and then Venus is the second house is what you value, yeah, and Venus is there, and this planet of desire. So Russia wants is having to do with some border, yeah, and then Jupiter is in the 12th house. Some foreign matter is very important because this is a Pisces ascendant, yeah, and they want to gain something. Saturn's in Capricorn, and they're concerned about how they experience themselves. Ketu in Scorpio is very important here. So if we look at then Russia, go down to Ukraine. There's an awful lot of charts in here. Oops. 2021 we're starting from. Ukraine is on the same degree, the ascendant is on the same degree as Venus here. Yeah. Russia's degree was 20-something, 23, I think. Yeah. So for the Russian ascendant, it's like the Ukrainian degree is related through Venus to the border. Anyway, it's difficult to interpret. It's not very easy, but there's a key. There are keys with planets are on the same degree, or planets are near the Gandanta points, or there's situations like the Kuja Stambhana with Rahu Mars in the third house for both of them. Yeah, there's a border issue. Yeah. Then you can go on to 2022. If I go back to Russia first. Oops, where am I going? There. So now the Gemini ascendant, Mercury is debilitated in the 10th house. The Sun, representing the border, is in the 10th house. So Russia is feeling that they are in a weak position, and the solution lies somewhere here, close to them in the 2nd and 3rd house. Yeah? And then you have a struggle going on between Jupiter, who's ruling Pisces, and Saturn, who's ruling Capricorn. And you have planetary wars if the planets are in the same sign. And then it becomes a very obvious external matter. But this is more like something internal, something that they want, that they're going to be some kind of internal struggle. Yeah. So so this is going on. They've already crossed the border, yeah. And then you have this in the 8th house for Russia here. You have Saturn and Mars, who are, it's a Yama Yoga, very difficult thing. It's going to bring about deaths of some kind, this Saturn and Mars. And if you look to see, so the Russians at 8 degrees ascendant, then we've looked down to Ukraine. Oops. 2022. Ukraine in 2022. It's a Taurus ascendant. Okay, you think this is a nice ascendant, but look at this Yama Yoga in the Bardak sign for Taurus, and Jupiter and Saturn on the same degree, and Venus is here with Jupiter. Venus is the ascendant, and Rahu. This is, I think, this is roughly where Algol is. You might know that, Sonal. I'm not sure. Anyway.
Yes, yes. That's end of is it sidereal 0 to 2 degrees Taurus? Because I know Algol is around 28 Taurus.
About 28. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
it's not far from there anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So this also is a very threatening situation here, a very difficult situation. If you take, for example, countries who have a Cancer ascendant would have a difficult time, this year, or there would be some kind of conflict going on, and there would be anyway. There are some countries like China, for example, has a Cancer ascendant on 27 degrees of Cancer, incidentally. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on in China that will probably come out later. Now, so if we go swiftly on to this year, 2023 Russia. All right, so here we have the Virgo ascendant. Nearly everybody's with the Virgo ascendant, so to speak, apart from the Americas, who have a Gemini ascendant, and the Far East, which largely speaking has a Sagittarius ascendant. And in the fourth of the dual signs, you have 4 planets and the benefics and the sun, and so there's going to be a lot of wrangling this year. A lot of a sort of Papakatari yoga here, and the planets are in 4 signs, so Mercury should be in charge, but of course at this time of year Mercury is fairly helpless, because Mercury is debilitating in Pisces around this time of the year. So this is also not a very hopeful kind of scenario, but you do have Jupiter in there and Mercury and Moon. They're all trying to do something, but it's not looking very helpful. And Russia and a lot of planets here, they're all going to have Mars in the 10th, so they're all going to be driven into action, and it should succeed, but Mars is in Gemini, so it's going to be a mess. Ukraine is fairly similar this year.
But Mars in Gemini is quite strong, though.
Well, okay, because its 11th is Aries. Yeah, it is strong. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's in the 10th. Yeah, but they're all for all these Virgo ascendants, lots of Virgo ascendants. Mars is in the 10th. Ukraine. 2023. See, it's very similar for Ukraine. Slightly different ascendant. That's all. Then, if we're going to have a peak, go on into 2024. Where's Russia first? Oops. then Jupiter and Mercury are in the 7th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Mercury is at 0. Something very strange is going to happen there. Huh? But nevertheless, and Jupiter's has the wrong direction. Yeah, Jupiter to be really effective has to be right on the 1st house. But there's going to be a lot of good attempts. But then Saturn and Mars in the 5th, that's quite tricky. Yeah, it's quite difficult. So 24 is going to be a difficult year. So we're not looking, we've just got to do Ukraine.
And there is a Yama Yoga again happening.
Yeah, Yama Yoga again, absolutely, yeah. This Yama Yoga, they're usually very effective.
You mean they really do manifest is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. So it's Ukraine's very similar, not very far away. Yeah. From there, mostly Virgo ascendants. Ukraine and Russia are in Libra. Oh no, Virgo ascendants in 23. Sorry, it'll be a lot of Libra ascendants. So it's just a sort of outline. Yeah. Now, if I could add something, I do a little more research. I was doing a sort of trawl through the years, and normally Mars turns up in the Chaitra Shukla chart about once in something like 14 years. It's not quite random, but on average, yes, 12, 14 years. He's turning up in the Chaitra Shukla chart 5 times this decade.
Whoa.
Ugh.
It's
explosive.
Shocking. Yeah, that is shocking.
Yeah.
So are we to say then that we are headed for a proper
we're headed for some proper bust up? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like total bust up, totally. Yeah. I'm already feeling that.
Yeah.
So Gordon, are you saying the Yama Yoga appears 5 times a semester?
Sorry?
Well, what's appeared 5 times? The Mars Saturn.
No, I beg your pardon. No, sorry, I was too quick. I'll say it again. I'm sorry. Apologize. It's if there are all the planets in a chart are in only 3 houses, it's called a Shula Yoga. The ruler of the Shula Yoga is Mars.
Yeah.
And that usually happens once in every 12, 14 years, and that's going to happen 5 times in the decade.
Yeah.
And then not for another 14 years or 15 years. Yeah.
So it will be because the Karaka for the Shula Yoga is obviously Mangal, right?
Yeah.
And so we have a horrible situation because yes, there will be peace at the end of this decade, but
there will be peace, but it's going to be very, very difficult to get.
What about this decade itself is in question, So I think yes, I mean, we can continue with more insights. You can join in with Paul. But we have a question it's from Satsriji. You mean turning, she's asking, you mean turning up conjunct the new moon Mars? No, I don't think that was.
No, perhaps the second explanation of Shula Yoga has helped. I was a bit too quick, tossed it off without thinking. Yeah.
So I think she got that. Okay, so that was
sorry to disturb your peaceful afternoon.
No, it's as I said, I did something for the Leeds Theosophical Society earlier, and I came out really depressed, and I don't have any great news either to bear, because 2023 is also the Ketu number, you see. So anyway, thank you very much. No doubt we will be we're having more sessions like these, for sure. I think we will probably need it. Yeah, so over to you, Paul or Israel. Who wants to go first, Israel or Paul?
I'll go quickly. I haven't even got much time. I gotta head out
Okay.
in a bit. I've got an appointment coming up soon.
Okay.
I'm not showing no PowerPoints or anything.
Okay.
But it's I wanted to touch on something you just mentioned there, Sonal, in regards to the number of the year. It's always something that I always
Okay. Can I just, before you
yeah, go ahead.
continue,
Sorry.
I just want to introduce Israel.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Israel Jose, for those of you who don't know, he is a Western astrologer. He studied with me with Liz Green in the Western Psychological Astrology program here in the UK. I think like the Parashara course, it was also a long-winded course of almost like 6 years or so, doing Western psychological astrology. So yeah, and it is possibly one of the best courses on the planet. It's sadly discontinued, but I think we had the privilege, or rather Israel had the privilege of being there, studying there. And he's now currently the president of the Astrological Lodge of London, in the UK here. And based in London, they have classes online as well as in person. So please give him a very, and yes, he's a wonderful tarot card reader too. Fantastic. So please give him a very warm welcome, and over to you, Israel.
Thank you. So a few things that I just wanted to touch on. I'm not showing any PowerPoints, so do forgive me there. But number one is the numerology of the year. We all know that numbers are extremely significant and display and show us various archetypes. We've just come out. We've moved in obviously to 2023. And obviously, when we add that number up, it adds up to a number 7. Now, 7 is quite a very spiritual number, I'm sure, as many of you are aware. There's often also been attempts to somewhat align. There is a very strong connection with astrology and numerology, and various people have also attempted to, if you want to say, marry or connect particular planetary energies with numbers. And number 7, although it's very spiritual unto itself, from a Western perspective, it's been quite usual for certain numerologists or astrologers to associate the number 7 with the planet Neptune, for example. In Vedic astrology, I've known quite a few people also to connect it with the planet Rahu, for example. So it has this very spiritual, purifying kind of energy about it. So I feel that's something that's going to be very, very significant for us this year, being that the number is actually going to be a number 7. I feel that this is a year where we really need to get into that. There's something about a number 7. It kind of, in terms of association with perhaps with a zodiac sign, it kind of has a kind of Piscean kind of energy to it, and I think that's very significant, especially for for the Vedic astrologers, because Jupiter right now is in the sign of Pisces. Although there is always a clash of Western astrology, Vedic astrology, which one's right, which one's wrong. I don't feel it's a case of whether either one being right or wrong. I feel they are just various expressions of the universe and different ways of reading. I think we're still getting the same message, but in a different language or in a different tone. But I think it's quite interesting also as well in Western astrology at the moment. Saturn is pretty much at the end of Aquarius, and in Vedic he's just moved into Aquarius, and it's for the Western astrologers, they on the banks of waiting for Saturn to move into the sign of Pisces. And I think Vedically, Jupiter's in the sign of Pisces. So it's almost like we're getting the same message, we're getting the same tones coming up with this Aquarius, Pisces energy. What is going on, and we know we got the two big planets. We all were aware of the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. For the Vedic astrologers, obviously, it was in Capricorn. In the Western astrologers, they calculated it as being at 0 degrees Aquarius. So I think that is also, the Jupiter Saturn cycle is always a very important cycle, which happens every 20 years. And it's often associated with new rulers and kings. And that's one of the very significant things about, Jupiter Saturn cycle. And Gordon spoke earlier on, and from Raja spoke earlier on also as well. And apart from the speakers we've had so far, Nathan gave us some really positive stuff to work with, but there is a lot of doom and gloom, so to speak. There is, I know Gordon is not intentionally saying, but it does look very, very heavy. And perhaps when things are heavy, there's always some positive stuff. We could always look to where Jupiter is, where I'm sure we're all aware what house Jupiter is transiting, what house Pisces is in your chart right now, and there can also be some upliftment there. But also, again, remember, Jupiter in Pisces is really about spiritual involvement. It's about compassion. It's about, there's great wisdom there with Jupiter in Pisces. So although that house may be uplifted in some kind of way, I feel Jupiter is trying to show us that at this precise moment, it's time for us to really go in, to look at things from a very spiritual. This is a time to really get spiritual. I know many of us are involved in various spiritual activities, meditation. Perhaps you're part of an astrology group or a spiritual center, and that's great. So in a way, I'm kind of preaching to the converted. But as a collective, I feel these planets are really pointing towards times where we really have to go inwards. And it's for people who cannot see, or maybe afraid, or not acknowledging that there is a world within us, a greater world inside of us, that we need to explore. Those are the ones that will more than likely feel this heaviness and disturbance of the Jupiter and Saturn cycles. So it's really about going within. Whatever house Jupiter is transiting for you right now is the topics of that house is what we need to assess and what we need to look at from a spiritual perspective, and get a hold of that. Depending obviously on your lagna, on your ascendant, and regardless whether you want it Western or Vedic, I would say it definitely applies. It applies to both, but especially for the Vedic, because we know that's spirituality is really embedded as a part of the astrology and a part of the culture also as well. So it's really on your doorstep. So I feel like we are moving into very, very heavy times, but as this year 2023 is a number 7, it's really about really going inward. It's really about looking inward for the answers, looking at the house where Jupiter is. The house that Saturn is transiting is where we know what Saturn's about. Saturn in Aquarius is very, very good. I think that will also be helpful. Saturn in Aquarius will be extremely helpful because Saturn's very stable there. So it gives us some kind of structure, some kind of stability. It's a fixed sign also as well. So I think that's also something good. This is something that can encourage us to build some discipline in our lives. That is needed. And with the Jupiter in Pisces, this can enable us to really sort of like grow, internally. So although it's very, very heavy, I feel the place to be, or the things to do, or the safe place to be, is actually to go within. and it's within us. That's where the heaven is. That's where the answers essentially are going to lie. Bringing discipline to our spiritual world is what I'm calling this Saturn Jupiter positioning in terms of where they are. It's about bringing some kind of construction, discipline to our spiritual world. Once we can develop that inside of us, we are of benefit to the rest of the world, each and everybody, and also as as a collective. But we're seeing. I mean, I'm over here in the UK, and there's everything from strikes, and everything is rising in price, and that's just not UK. That's all over the world. We know that UK and America and countries like that, being that they're quote unquote some of the leading countries in terms of the economic system, if prices go up in these countries, well, they're going to it's going to have a knock-on effect, because the world is so interconnected in every way, shape or form. Business, something affects America, well, it's going to affect the rest of the world because they're doing business. Price of petrol goes up here, well, it's going to have some kind of knock-on effect. So it's not just UK, it's not just America. We're all in this together. The war that's happening again in Ukraine, I think it was very great in terms of what Gordon Brennan shared with us there in terms of Ukraine, because we're seeing we've seen that the battle obviously is like he said, the word he used, I believe, was explosive. When he said that, I thought, oh, never heard Gordon use that word before. So these are the kinds of things, again, we're seeing here that, and I think it was just the other day I was watching the news, and Germany and UK are sending new tanks again for Ukrainian. So the battles, Gordon's on the money. The battles getting, they're not sending tanks in for play. President of Ukraine is really sort of trying to pull as much armed resources as possible from as many countries as possible, because they know that things are about to really get heated, and so things are essentially going to get worse. Prices of things will go up again. Distribution of food, products all around the world are going to be more difficult, and so what is the answer? What do we do? And I feel, like I said, that construction of Saturn and Jupiter is really sort of like wanting us to pull within, and being in that we're in the number 7 right now year. Next year we will move to the number 8. I feel that will be a good year to sort of like maybe start building again in some kind of way. But 7 is a number of rest. It's quite interesting, even in the Christian, if you want to say, Judeo-Christian approach, where they said God created the world in 6 days and he rested on the 7th. There's something about the 7th it's a resting period. Rest doesn't necessarily mean sleep, but rest is a period of internal going within. It's withdrawing from that mundane world. And that's what it's really about. So this is where we're at right now. And anybody who wants to go against that essentially is going to feel the wrath and sink. So the answer essentially is look within your charts. Look at the houses that Jupiter is transiting. Jupiter in Pisces at the moment, where he's transiting in your chart. That's where the spiritual approach, and that's where the gifts are also as well. Jupiter will give you the gifts. He will give you the wisdom. He will give you the insight. He will offer you the compassion. So that's the area of life where you need to work on, and that's where your gifts can be. And the house that Saturn is transiting is where we need to lay down some firm, concrete, realistic discipline in our lives. And I feel if we take that on board, we can definitely be in a safe place. Although, yes, it is going to be quite heavy and it's a bit doom and gloom, but we don't have to go down the drain with the rest of the numbnuts who are choosing to go against the planetary message.
Yep. And
So-
I totally concur. Yes, somebody wants to say something. Thank you, Israel, for that.
Yeah, so if
you
there
know.
are any quick questions, yeah.
Yeah. And nobody's got any questions. Everyone's
Frighten them all away.
That scared them all away.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 in Vedic is Ketu.
Yeah, I
Also,
mentioned that, yeah.
Yes.
Not Rahu's taken to be 4, and of course, it's also a sign where the gunas change.
Yeah,
to these
right.
2 or 3 Jupiter.
Yeah.
So there is a change. The number for 2023, because the studies and numerology, of course, as you well know, Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is 43, which indicates transformation.
Right,
So,
right,
and
right.
obviously reduces to 7, and next year will be 44.
Yeah.
Which is quite a severe master number.
Yes.
When I see it in a person's chart, I predicted death in the past, and shiver me timbers, it happened. Not for that person, but for the for the daughter and her husband, a stepdaughter.
Wow.
So I'm not always happy with the 44.
Right. Right.
Because 4 is a number of structure.
That's right.
So when you've got 2 4s, it's a very powerful energy coming in. It's like breaking up structures, and of course the body is a structure in a personal chart. So it's like things breaking up, really.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw that in by way of nothing, really. So there.
Yeah, no, most definitely, yeah. It's that Rahu energy. It's definitely the Ketu energy is really going to be strong this year, and we know what Ketu is really about. It's really about releasing. It's the dragon's tail. It's the ending. So we need to definitely, if we can all find, this is the time to look for students and pupils and people who we can reach out to and people who we can teach. Spiritual teachings, esoteric teachings. If there's a greater time in history, now is the time for that, where we need to be seeking pupils, students, and not so much clients, although clients will come for those of you who do work with clients, but it's the time for opening up schools, spiritual centers, getting as much students as pupil, and to be educating and teaching and sharing wisdom. And that's what it's really about now, to be enlightening and spreading the knowledge in the best way possible. Because if not, because people are going to be looking for answers when they're seeing the huge catastrophes, the wars, the deaths, people, having nowhere to go, don't know what to do. They will start to seek answers, and we're going to need gurus, teachers, mentors, astrologers, who can help and provide those answers.
Okay, absolutely, I agree. I think it's going to be, it's. I think the astrology is out there in terms of it's crystal clear. What awaits us. So anyway,
I think on the positive note, it's actually going to be a good time for astrologers, because this is where we're going to be needed. This is where society is going to really start to, because the astrologers are going to be the ones who can provide the answers. So on a somewhat positive note, for us who are astrologers, your phone's really going to start ringing. You're really going to start getting busy, because people are going to be wanting to know, well, what's happening to me? Well, what's happening with my job? What's happening with my, and it's going to be us that are, well, Shani's doing this and Guru's doing that, and you've got this lagna, so this is the direction that's best suited for you. So yeah,
fabulous. Thank you, Israel. I think I await the tinkering on the sound of the phone. Just kidding. But yeah, absolutely. I think, any way I look at it, I think it just it's a lot disheartening. Let's just put it this way.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's swiftly, thank you very much, Israel, for even coming,
no problem,
Mr. Prince. as I call him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Gemini Lagna, they're Mercury rule people. I think they're forever kind of, you know, prince like.
Yeah,
So,
Gemini, Lagna, and Virgo Sun.
yeah, well, don't
It's
forget the
all Mercury.
Mercury. Yeah. Okay. Let's move swiftly now to Paul. Paul, are you there?
Well, I wasn't until I listened to Israel, and now I'm off. So
Right.
I'm going to be saying pretty much the same thing. So there I am.
Okay.
So you want me to start?
So, before we proceed, because we are kind of, I never expected 2 hours to be taken up just in the first round. So what we will do is, after Paul, I may go briefly. No, sorry, I will get Vanita Lenka to come in. And then I may just do a brief one looking at the chart of India's Tithi Pravesh, which ironically, Paul, nobody does that, do they? Do they do Tithi, Gordon? Do they do Tithi Pravesh of nations? It's like unheard of, right?
If you have a chart for the nation, yes. Not a sort of transit like a Chaitra
Yes,
Shukla
yes, yes,
chart.
indeed. I'm
Yeah.
talking of, yeah.
Yeah,
like for
nations,
India.
yes. Tithi Pravesh,
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely. Okay, great, lovely. So I've got the go ahead. So yes, so I will be covering that. So and then we will get Vanita Lenka over, and yes, so over to you, Paul. Shall I make you the co-host? There we go.
Yes, I have a short presentation.
Okay, yes, I've done that.
So how do I get the presentation up now? Now that we've said all that.
Yeah.
There we have it. Can you see?
You have to share screen.
I thought I had.
Nothing yet.
No, everything's gone blank.
It's the share screen, the green button.
Yeah, all the computers are not reacting fast enough. So well, it doesn't allow me to share the screen. It's not saying I can share it.
Oh.
It says one participant can share it. Have you made me co-host?
Yes.
Well, it's not saying that I can share the screen.
Okay, 1 minute. Let me try again. Okay. Oh God.
I don't know. So you can see this screen.
Yes.
Click slideshow and start.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Click slideshow at the stop there. That's it.
Okay. So thank you. We got down the end of Guru. Thank you for this. I'm going to be talking about the Chaitra Shukla of the United Kingdom. And hopefully we'll be able to see it. So
Paul, one sec, quickly. Everybody.
Have you got the recording going again?
Yes, I'm recording it. Paul, quickly, just 2 lines. For those of you who do not know Paul Barker, he is a wonderful friend, and he has been he lives in Leeds, and he is the president of the Leeds chapter of the Theosophical Society of England. And he has been, I think he has been, I think you have got certification now in as a
I've been dragging the feet as I normally do, so I'm going to be doing the short.
Yeah, but you're almost there.
I'm almost on the last lap.
Yes, or as a Gemini scholar, and he's also been studying from various sources for a number of years. He has spoken at Bawa. In fact, he is going to be speaking at Bawa this year, as well as numerous other conferences, and a firm favorite at divinations here. So over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much. And so I'm going to be talking about the UK Chaitra Shukla chart. So we're building on what Gordon has been talking about, and also what Israel has been talking about to a certain extent. And I always feel when I do these over the past year or two, including this time, I come in as the voice of doom a little bit. I'm just building on this theme of death and misery. So just reviewing briefly what we said last year, because we did make the prediction that based on the moon's transit into the sign of Aquarius, which gives, I feel, the day lord for that particular point in time gives a feel for the year. And the theme last year was for focus on leaders and rulers in countries worldwide. And I did suggest that this means that we would experience a lot of changes of rulers, and we predicted the Majesty's death, which came to pass. And I did think that Boris Johnson wouldn't survive as a politician for very long, and of course that came to pass. I didn't quite see the complete turmoil that's taken place in the UK, but it has been happening worldwide. And for example, Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand has just fallen on a sword, and I think there's been others along the way. I believe I predicted Trudeau would disappear as well, which has not yet happened, but it's not particularly popular in Canada, and you can't walk down the street safely without a crowd gathering around him to express their considered views. Of course, there's been a change in Brazil as well, and all sorts of other places. We also said that there would be a poor financial situation in the UK, particularly for small business, which I think is going to continue. I think it was last year we said there would be problems along the south coast with or in the channel, to do with France, and I think we said it might be to do with fishing, but I think that in retrospect means not the fishing as such, which was a problem, but more the open borders that's now taking place, where we have literally hundreds of people arriving on in Kent every day now. And one thing we did say, or I did mention actually in talking with Gordon during the session, was that there might be developments in nuclear fusion. And that has come to pass, it would appear, because there was an experiment carried out in a what's called an ignition laboratory in California. It's a US government facility. I think it's actually connected with their weapons development. But nuclear fusion, to get energy from nuclear fusion, is the holy grail of energy production for clean energy. And in an experiment on the 5th of December, they did actually claim that they achieved this, firing 192 powerful lasers at a small pellet of gold in which was encapsulated the light elements, isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium, which they succeeded in fusing, thereby releasing nuclear energy. And they got more energy out, they claim, than what they put in. So this obviously needs to be developed, but I have put up the chart. It was in Livermore in California. And it's an interesting chart. I've written a short article on it, which I will be sending off. But I just thought I'd put this up briefly regarding last year. So there was no time for the experiment, but at a few minutes after 4 a.m., Venus transited from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So I've taken that time because I think that Venus, which is the 8th lord of research and development, transiting across the Gandanta point into Mula Nakshatra, which of course is ruled by Narithi, goddess of destruction, and ruling the southwest, therefore California, was possibly the trigger point for this development. So it's the eighth lord passing into the third house, which you know, for the Jaimini scholars and indeed the Parashara scholars is quite a powerful transition. The eighth going into the third being the eighth from the eighth. So it's like a dissolution energy. It's like the dance of Shiva. And of course, there is outside the CERN headquarters in Switzerland, there is the statue of the Tandava dance of dissolution of Shiva. So it is quite interesting. The Navamsha of Venus at this point is actually Aries, which again represents rebirth, something new starting. You know, so there's quite a lot of focus on powerful energies producing something new. So I suggest that this may be, because you have the Rahu Ketu axis on the 1-7 axis as well, which indicates a sort of karmic event. Sun is aspecting Rahu. Rahu is character for technology, and Sun is signifies nuclear fusion. So there is a drishti between these two. So there are other aspects of this chart, but I'll leave it there. But that to be could be a very powerful moment in time for the 21st century if these energies can be developed. So it's being passed without too much attention being paid to it. But it's potentially one of the more significant dates of recent times. And I would suggest one of the most significant dates in the 21st century. So they are trying to develop this already for commercial use. So this has already taken place in the United States. I think there's about 30 companies actively trying to develop commercial fusion energy. So this is an interesting development, and we suggested that this might happen this time last year, and it has come to pass. So 3 cheers for us. That's the position now. I'm not quite sure why I put that up. Before I actually start with the Chaitra Shukla, you may be aware that there is a green comet heading this way. Again, it's been observed by the Americans, and it has been got a mention on the BBC website. So we have a green comet which is visiting the solar system. It has that name there, C2022 E3ZTF. So I'm not sure what that refers to, but it's believed that the last time it came this way was some 50,000 years ago. So it's quite interesting, and the American neo-Vedic astrologer Juliana Swanson as Astral Harmony has commented on this. So comets are messengers and powerful harbingers of change. They've been seen in a negative light. The Vedic literature apparently focuses on the colour and the shape, and the I think the length of the tail of the comet. So there's no mention of green comets, apparently. So I wonder if it doesn't relate to something to do with the focus on the green agenda at the moment. It's coming in, I think, on the pole star. We'll enter the Taurus constellation around about February 11 to 12. We may be able to see it at the end of January with the naked eye. The problem being that the moon will also interfere. But the transit into Taurus will be near Mars, and it will be near the fixed star Aldebaran, which is related to war, and St. Michael, protector. So if the comet was red, I think it would definitely be indicating war situations. It isn't red, it appears to have a green aura. So hopefully it's not going to be too severe. What has happened is that I think part of the tail has already broken away, whatever so that happens to these things. And so the trajectory may be slightly erratic. But if it does go near Mars, that'll be round about 16 degrees Taurus, then it could be a potential omen of conflict to come, irrespective of the colour. Will probably presage scientific and technological advances, but it can certainly be an omen of conflict and turmoil. Further information, obviously, for those who follow Astral Harmony, can be seen on the website. But that's an interesting point. So it's going to be happening round about now in the next couple of weeks or so. So it should be able to be seen with binoculars and telescopes, if not with the naked eye, the moon notwithstanding. So to cut to the chase, there's the Chaitra Shukla chart for 2023. We have a Leo ascendant, and it means that we have a normal build-up of planets that we get in Pisces, means it's in the 8th house for the United Kingdom. The moon goes into Aquarius. Saturn is the day lord, and that is rather unfortunate, because the significance of that is death. Hopefully death meaning transformation. But the last time this happened, I believe, was 2020, when obviously we had the pandemic starting. So the theme of the year, sadly, is death. And of course, for the UK, we have this 8th house focus from Leo. So the 8th house is related to unpleasant things, but also transformation. So I'm expecting the UK to undergo a period of transformation. At the moment, talking of death, in last year in 2022, there was more or less an extra 1,000 people per week dying in excess of the normal numbers of people. Around about 500 or 600 people per day die of, whatever, old age and so on in the United Kingdom. But last year there was something like 50,000 extra deaths beyond the rolling 5-year average figures. For the first few weeks in January, that 1,000 figures now increased to 2,000 to 3,000. So that is increasing, and I have my own views about what that is, but I'm not going to express them here. So, and obviously this applies worldwide. This theme of the moon going into Aquarius. It's called the Panchaka. I think I pronounced that right, Gordon. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So it's called the Panchaka Day Lord. So it's Saturn this year, which is with you or death. So there's the chart. Now, interestingly, Leo Lagna, 28 degrees, 34 minutes. If we look at the UK progressed chart, that should say 1945, by the way, not 1945. So that's 1945. So the ATO1 chart progressed by 144 years. And we have a Leo Lagna at just over 27 degrees. So this looks, quite a significant period, I would suggest. So Leo Lagna, the sun has gone to the 8th house. I was talking with Gordon about who could be the ruler and the prime minister. So it's not always clear, but obviously the sun is the Lagna lord, and the sun represents royalty. So I'm taking that to represent King Charles. And you could also say it's the 10th lord. But if we take sun to be the royalty, we see that it's in this Papakatari yoga between Saturn and Rahu, and God pointed out previously. So that's quite severe. So I'm expecting more problems for King Charles. No doubt he's under a lot of strain. don't think anything's going to happen to him as such. If you read the books on some of these things, it can suggest that there could be assassinations and deaths and so on. So, I mean, that's a possibility. Jupiter in the 8th, although it's in its own sign, can also indicate it's not a particularly happy position in the 8th house. And it can indicate death amongst the elites in society, not just royalty, but politicians and or the other worthies. The financial position of the country may not be particularly satisfactory. Mercury is also there representing the economy, and of course it's in debility and in the Papakata with yoga. So I'm not expecting the economy to be flying, and I think particularly the small business sector, which could be represented by Venus there, conjunct Rahu, again is going to suffer. And of course, this seems to be, I have to say, it does seem to be the policy of the government. The recent budget, well, they had a mini budget. The Chancellor did seem to hammer the small business sector. And of course, that the small business sector has not really recovered very well from the lockdown period. So the country does, and the country is deep in debt. So the 8th house related to debt and loans. So I think our national debt is now 99.5% of GDP, which is, and rising, which is unsustainable. So there seems to be no break on this economic decline of the country. So the government seems happy with that. So you can read into that what you want, but it looks like the economy is not going to be too strong, and particularly, I'm sure the big business sector, which might be considered to be Saturn in its own sign and in the 7th house, will still prosper. So some people will be happy with that. But I think overall the economy of the country and the small business sector is not going to be very happy. Mars has gone to the 11th. I will share or somebody will share the recording. I've just seen that come up. Mars, which is the Bardakesh for the fixed sign Leo, has gone to the 11th house, which isn't a particularly happy situation. The 11th house is 6th from the 6th, 6th house being dander or punishment. And so the 11th house has the feel of destruction about it. We look at the progress chart for 1945, we can see Saturn and Rahu in Gemini. So Mars placed there, although you can see the degrees are not particularly close, but fairly close to the Saturn. So again, we have a type of Yama Yoga there. So that suggests that relations with other countries are not going to be too positive. Could even be conflict. Saturn is aspecting Rahu, so Aries becomes a storm point. It's called a storm point, where the two planets have the same conjunction or drishti. So Aries, which of course is a warlike sign, is the storm point. This may be bad for Venus representing women. I think the prospects for women are not particularly good. There are attacks on women increasing in this country. Some of them doing the attacks are actually the Metropolitan Police, who have 800 of them under investigation for various things, including, well, recently murder and paedophilia, as well as assaults on women. So, you know, it doesn't paint a pretty picture of what's going on, certainly not in London, but I could say the rest of the country as well. Now in the Venus, so Venus represents women and it represents small business sector. So it could also represent as 10th Lord, it could represent the Prime Minister. So I'm not, you know, I'm not convinced, and the Sun could also represent the government. So I don't think Rishi Sunak's going to have a positive time. I don't think he's going to be replaced. And my feeling is he doesn't particularly care anyhow, because his future's assured one way or the other. Saturn in Aquarius, well, the sixth lord represents the military. So in the seventh house of war, it does suggest that the military is going to be involved in some capacity. Now, we are running round Ukraine, of course, as advisors, I'm pretty certain, and it's believed the special forces have been active, blowing up various things. So we won't get into that, but we are there. We are sending tanks to, as I think Israel pointed out, to the Ukraine. There is the view that the military might end up on the streets of the UK, which has happened recently in aiding with the strikes that have taken place. This time last year, we were predicting strikes and a lot of unrest on the streets. And, you know, I think that's going to increase. Saturn in the seventh house indicates strained relations in dealing with other powers, labour unrest in the country, and the government taking emergency powers. And the ruler, meaning the government, acquiring dictatorial powers. But I am expecting more trade union power strikes and more, and the unions becoming more powerful. There will be an increase in taxation, and you know, the unrest in the labour movement in the country will mean that strict labour laws will be brought in, possibly dictatorial laws. The government is already making some moves in that direction. This is also backed up by this planet Pluto in the sixth house, which does suggest nuclear technologies will be favourable, but it does indicate unrest. Obviously, the tradition that most of us follow, we don't use these outer planets, but I do look at what people like Juliana Swanson and others are saying about these outer planets and the various books that are available on mundane astrology. So I am quite interested in them, though I don't have any particular expertise as such. Neptune in this eighth house is not a particularly auspicious placement, and again can indicate many deaths in areas like suicide and drug abuse. It does also suggest abdications by rulers or resignations by prime ministers, but it's a possibility, I suppose. So we'll chalk that up. I'm not convinced. It indicates conspiracies and political instability. I think we can be fairly confident that that is going to come to pass. Jupiter and Neptune together indicate sectarian quarrels and religious struggles over ideas. Now, in the past year in the UK, we have seen some very ugly scenes involving the Muslim and Hindu and Jewish communities, the latter two basically being under attack. And I'm anticipating that this will increase, unfortunately. So it may not have got on the news outside of the UK, I don't know, but in Leicester, an English city, and also in the northwest, in Lancashire, the Lancashire towns, and also amongst the Jewish communities in London, there were some very ugly scenes. However, spiritual aspirations and creative endeavours will also increase. Israel alluded to this, so I am expecting, you know, as the material world atrophies or gets worse, then I think people will turn more to, as Israel said, more eternal, look into themselves for strength and support, and there will be an increase in spirituality, which is probably already happening. I also anticipate a lot more stuff going towards more mumbo jumbo activities and aliens and that type of thing, which I'm not convinced is actually happening. But some people say it is. I believe it when I see it.
So, Paul, when you say mumbo jumbo, you mean kind of like black magic kind of stuff?
You know, benign space aliens taking over the planet to help us.
You mean like crop cycles and stuff like that?
Not so much crop circles, but I do wear things. We have this idea that there are, you know, beings in the sky looking out for us, you know, and frankly, I don't believe it. But I think we're going to get a lot more of this new age type of stuff. What I am hoping is that, you know, established societies like the Theosophical Society might have a renaissance with Jupiter and even Neptune in Pisces. And by God, we need it. So there will be. Hello.
Sorry, you mentioned about the because the moon is in MKS, right?
It is.
And it's in all the benefics practically are in Pap Kartari.
Correct. Not good. Venus is afflicted as well.
Yes, of course, with not just Uranus, but definitely Rahu and, you know,
Saturn.
Yeah, it's misery. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to over-egg the pudding, but I can't get any say anything more than death.
But
death,
there's
rape,
also
violence, paedophilia. I mean, it's
yeah, you name it. But there's also another thing that Saturn in own sign, own Multrikon, it's not going to really. It's just like a showpiece there. It's not going
well,
to.
Saturn in its own sign. You'd have to look at where it's.
Rahu is there, and Rahu.
You know, Venus, where Saturn is exalted, is under affliction.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, and also the taking, even by taking the other Lagna Lord, you know, for, you know, Saturn on sign. So also can look at Rahu, what's going on with Rahu. But invariably, Uchanath, Venus, Rahu, my God, this is totally depressing.
Well, yeah. Well, you can't get much more depressing than rape, death, and violence. I mean,
okay, I have a question. Do you think the police are going to strike? Because I have a feeling if the police strikes, we are in for a very warlike situation.
There will be, Rahu in the 9th house can indicate revolt in the armed services as well as sex scandals amongst religious people and judiciary. So I won't be, I mean, you know, Mars is the Lord and it's gone to the 11th house. You know, it's not a, there's no Gra Drishti on it, but it's not, you know, it's not in a happy position there, I don't think. So, you know, there might well be, it is the Bardakesh. So that Mars there, I don't think is in a very good position. And Mars can represent, you know, the military and the police, obviously. So there will be strikes, there will be more strikes, and there could be some sort of revolt in the military. It just depends what they're asked to do. If they're asked to come on the streets to maintain order,
yeah,
and the government, the UK government, has already told the police to prepare for civil unrest, which is starting to happen, and the police do get openly attacked in London from various groups. But I wouldn't at all be surprised if the police go on strike. I don't think they'll get much sympathy.
Because we haven't even looked at the US chart. I mean, seriously.
So I'm only concentrating on that. I think the US is Gemini. So that Pisces becomes a 10th house. So it's, you know, Mars will be in the Lagna. So I'm only concerned with the UK, which is what I said I was going to discuss.
Yeah, indeed. But
there's enough here.
Yeah, maybe we will need another session or so good for other.
Well, how many countries in the world are there? We could do it on the lots of them, but you know, I think there's a chance that the military could revolt, but I think they would only do that if they were really pitted against the UK population to maintain unrest against the government. You know, I don't think they're going to come on the streets to start shooting people. I think if they did, I won't be surprised if there is some rest in the military and it's more just a verbal protest. That's the way we do things in the country.
I think this is where the Nabhasa yoga comes in and rescues things, because Mercury, being a Kedara yoga with 4 planets in 4 signs, Mercury is the one who's most influential, and he's going to be he's about economic matters and social matters to a certain extent, and he's with Jupiter, and so Jupiter's going to be doing a lot to try and calm things down.
But it is debilitated, Gordon, and okay, agreed. The debilitation, there is a cancellation of debility.
Yeah, through Jupiter. If it turns to Jupiter, then it will help.
Even Ketu has gives the cancellation, right? The other lord is also, because we would look at Ketu, if Jupiter is in the own sign, we would probably look at Ketu, or, you know,
Jupiter's debilitated in the Navamsha, as you can see. So
yeah, it's a difficult situation, absolutely. Yeah. And the Jupiter year is Shobhana.
Yes. Yes.
Which is a good one.
It's auspicious. And I'm just
but this is the last of those Shobhakrit,
that's right.
Of those. And next year is Krodha.
Yeah,
you know, and Krodha is like the worst Samvatsara you can ever have,
absolutely.
You know. So I think we are really, next 3 years are a write-off. So I think whatever make good or whatever, I think it's this.
Well, if you just quote from your website, Sonal, for
because Samvatsara, I've written quite a few things on Samvatsara. I love
there will be good rains and production. However, some kind of sickness, brackets, uncertainty will prevail in the country, in the mundane world. So yes, it is auspicious, but it's not tickety-boo completely.
No, I think Israel said some very important things. So there was people shouldn't get worried about this. It's not their lives that are going to. It's an inevitable result of things that have happened in the past. It's not their own lives. It's not their own happiness.
I don't think it's going to be nuclear war or anything.
No, not this year.
We'll wait till next year.
Exactly.
So, I mean, these things have to come to pass. I mean, you know, I feel like the world is going through what St. John of the Cross would regard as the dark night of the soul. You know, things are bad and they're going to get worse, but we have to get to the dawn afterwards. We can't get to the dawn until we go through the dark night. And
indeed, but that's not until this decade is over, you know. So we have a long wait in the dark night of the soul, to be honest, if you really ask me. But
it's all karma.
It is actually, it's like a collective karma that we all are born and somehow are touching base with the whole medium of Jyotish and astrology, you know. So it has to have some kind of a collective karma anyway. But I think we are up for time. We've been here for hours and hours.
Let me just finish a couple of points. 2 minutes. Venus can also represent the currency. Mercury as well. So Venus, the Rahu Ketu, to me, just suggests that we're going to get the digital currency coming in sometime over the next 15 months or so, which personally I don't think is a good thing. The World Economic Forum, whose Lagna is, I believe, Aquarius, so Saturn Rahu, so that Papakatara Yoga can mean, in my opinion, that the WEF and Mr. Klaus Schwab will be having a malefic influence on what's happening in the government. That's my interpretation. You can take that.
Brilliant, spot on. Absolutely, there's not much.
The whole government and opposition are in bed with the WEF. In fact, Starmer has spent a lot of time at Davos recently. He's well in with them, as has government ministers. So, you know, the WF control this country, and King Charles himself is deep in with them. So, you know, WF control this country, whether we like it or not.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, there's just a summary, just to finish this happy picture. So, death, instability, changes to currency, social unrest, sectarian conflict, sadly violence against women on the increase, military on the move, possible revolt. But democratic movements and cooperative societies will also take place. That's Saturn. So, you know, it's not completely bad. There will be an unrest on the street, but it will be the people taking back power. And I think there will be a development of cooperative societies where people start to go back to trading amongst themselves and perhaps even having local currency. This has happened in the world, so it's not some pipe dream. If the government tries to impose dictatorship, then people will seek alternate means, and I'm very positive about that. Inflation, trade union power, R&D in space and nuclear power, also the water industries and technologies might be favoured. That's the Pisces influence. Strained international relations, but as we said, never to be forgotten, spiritual and creative aspirations will develop. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Thank you, Paul. This was, summed it up brilliantly. So fabulous. I think we've got dwindling numbers. People have just kind of, it's so long, but I think this will be shared across so everybody can listen to it anyways. It doesn't matter. So we have Vanita Lenka finally, and I am going to just, after Vanita, I may just go only for a short while. I just want Gordon and, and Mohan, if he's around, and Paul to have a look at the chart that I will share eventually, in India's Tithi Pravesh and India's thing, because I have a feeling there may be a lot of trouble brewing on that front, But before that, I think our final, dear Vanita Lenka, I had the great fortune of meeting Vanita at the SJC conference in Jagannath Puri in Bhubaneswar in December last month, like a couple of months ago. And it was absolutely fantastic. We shared the Mahaprasad and she was delightful. And yes, so she, as some of you know, her specialty, I don't know what she's surprised she has for us today, but she does, very fond of her nakshatras. I myself am very detailed, very fond of her detailed work on nakshatras. And so, yeah, over to you, Vanita. Thank you very much for your patience and, bearing with all the long session. So, yes.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonal. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I really enjoyed because I joined a little late and I heard what Paul just mentioned. Hi, Paul. Hi, Gordon. I know a few names and I think Raju. So yeah, thanks so much for having me over. This is a privilege and an honor. And to start with, I just want to propitiate Lord Ganesha, our very own Ganu. So let's just chant Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be peace. There's always a silver lining, I feel, always a protection. Whatever negativity is there, there is always a grace. So we should just take it in a stride and think the positive is yet to come, or it is going to be there along with. So I'm going to be sharing a little small presentation that I've made for you guys. So let me share. I have to get the access to sharing my presentation. Great. Right. So this is what we are doing here. We have to look at the bigger picture now. What exactly is that we are heading to. So here we go. I'm going to be talking about the transits in general, and then I'll be taking, like how it is impacting on the individual plane. I'm not too much into mundane. So how it is going to be impacting, like if you are into Sarasati or something. See, I just chanted as Om Gang. I wanted to tell you why, because you see, it's not Gam, it's Gang. Because the G starts from the navel and then it goes up. So that's Brahma. This area is Vishnu, and this is Shiva. So when you chant Ma in the end, it is just the Shiva that you're propitiating. But when you chant from the navel, that is Gang. So it comes from the navel and then you go up. And all the three Trinity you just consider. All right. So just little bit the ones who don't know about it. So I'm going to be talking about Saturn a bit, and then I'll be moving on further to the other planets also. So as we all know that Saturn is the planet, the major planet right now, most talked about, and is going to be in this sign till the 29th of March, 2025. So it's going to be a Sarasati phase for Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Kantaka, Shani, or the Dhaya for the Scorpion, Cancer, because it's going to be in the 4th and the 8th houses for these people. So Saturn return is for Aquarius. So if you have a Saturn in Aquarius, so that is your Saturn return. So Sarasati, basically, you know, you don't have to just see and say that, oh, it's completely gone, you know, for 2.5 years, you're doomed and nothing is coming your way and you have to struggle. People are, you know, as they are dreading. So how you have to check that is, what I do is, and I have researched over a period of time that it works a lot on D12 chart. Suppose you, because it's the equal distribution of D1. So when you will see Saturn transiting through a particular zone in D12 chart, so it will trigger the event only at that time. Suppose it is there for 2 months or 3 months time in a particular zone. So that particular house's significations will suffer, or you will have to go through that. So it is not that it is going to give you only negative results all through or positive results all through, because 3, 6, 11 people will say it's a good transit for us. It is not going to be that bad. And in the D12 and D9, so you have to see how this Saturn is transiting over. Suppose it is transiting over your Lagna in D9 or D12, then it will trigger the events. Or it is over Moon, then it will trigger the events. So that's how you have to check every time. So something which people generally overlook, we have to see if it is transiting over the Dasha Lord. That is when this will give more results, maximum results. And Saturn return is, of course, after you see 29.5 years, this happens. Every 29.5 years, it will be coming to the same spot. And it is definitely going to be giving you some unfavorable results related to that particular zone, not all through again, but when it is forming a connection with the nakshatra, especially when it is transiting through Dhanishta, Shatabisha, as we know, it is going to be this year, it is going to be back and forth in Dhanishta and Shatabisha. So you have to see where is your Mars in the natal chart. If Mars is well positioned, nothing to worry. The Saturn is not going to trouble you at all. If your Rahu is well positioned, you don't have to worry of Saturn's ingress in Shatabisha transit. So this is how you have to see, and not completely write off this Saturn's ingress, because Saturn, everybody dreads a lot. Saturn is going to be with 3 planets this year, that is Venus, Sun, and Mercury, one by one. And then it is going to be a lonely planet. And then all the planets will be in Rahu Ketu axis, which others may call Kalsarpa, but I call it Rahu Ketu axis, because only Saturn will be out after the mid of this year. So Venus is going to be conjunct, as you all know, it is till the 15th of February in Aquarius sign. So whenever Saturn conjuncts planets, it actually curtails them. It actually makes you serious in those zones. So women counterpart will become very serious about the relationship, about their work. Now they will be uplifting themselves. They'll be working through that. Sun is authority. Saturn is masses. So there can be a contradiction because Saturn is going to be combust also. So it might cause some kind of friction between the masses and the authorities all across the globe. But at the same time, when Saturn is combust, it gives good results to the people who are facing a lot of troubles right now with Saturn's ingress in Aquarius sign. They will feel a little relieved because Saturn, when is combust, it loses its potency to give the results. So don't worry about it. The ones who are facing a little bit of issues, so you will face the issues, a little less, or the impact a little less when it is retrograde, when it is combust, when it comes closer to the malefics. So that impact will reduce, of course. So we have to see that how Saturn is going to be conjunct with the planets and aspected by planets also. And Mercury, of course, it is going to be conjunct till the 16th of March. From the 27th of February, it is going to be in Aquarius sign. Mercury is going to be there. So that is the time when education industry is going to flourish. And if we talk about mundane, or there can be that people are going to be very serious about their monetary gains, how we can just invest, how we can be doing and flourishing well in those zones where, Mercury rules. Mercury is communication. You will become very serious in your communication. You will not just, be superficial, or, you will pay attention to people even more. You will see how, you can improvise on yourself, on your communication skills, and also your knowledge, how you can gain more knowledge. That is something which this Saturn Mercury will do. Then we have Saturn aspects. All right. I take Saturn's direct aspects when Saturn is direct. So it's Aries, Leo, and Scorpio. And when it is retrograde, I take the reverse also. So it's Sagittarius, Leo. Leo, of course, the 7th aspect. So it will definitely be aspecting Leo sign. So Sagittarius, Leo, and Taurus in retrogression. Very few people take that, but I have seen getting results this way. Try it out. Try it out in many charts and then see whether it's working in your case or not. But I have. So that's why I'm using this. And when it is going to be aspecting Aries, we know that there is a Guru Chandala Yoga also forming in Aries sign with Jupiter and Rahu there. And I have a YouTube channel. I must tell you that I have made different parts, several parts on this particular Saturn's ingress in Aquarius sign, and how it is going to be impacting the ones who have planets there already, and how it can impact people individually, and what happens when there is Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn connectivity, because Saturn is going to be in Shatabisha Nakshatra ruled by Rahu and aspected by Ketu, who is in Rahu's Nakshatra as well, and Saturn will be looking at Rahu also. So there is a very strong combination or connection forming between Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. So when the malefics connect, there has to be something which comes up, something new, something different, something big, something huge. Could be that there is a very good progress in medical science also. We cannot ignore that. And people are going to be aware of their spirituality also, their spiritual realms. They will be connecting more to that. Like occult sciences are going to increase. People's interest in that zone is going to increase, and their faith and belief system is going to increase as well. Because Ketu, is the planet of spirituality, as we all know. And Ketu detaches you also. So Saturn is also a detaching planet, so is Ketu. So they both are in Rahu's Nakshatra. So people will become, they will find a track, to make their money through the spiritual realms. Maybe, the spiritual organizations will flourish and they will make money because Rahu is also involved. So that's going to happen. And these are the dates of the retrogression this year and next year. So you can make a note of these also. Now, these are the back and forth of Dhanishta and Shatabisha. You can make a note. These are just the dates as to when the Dhanishta transit happens. So we have to see the condition of Mars, and then we have to see the condition of Rahu. And Rahu is going to be conjunct Jupiter. It's said that when Jupiter and Rahu get connected, it's like a goon connecting with a saint. So the saint will change the goon, but the goon will, become a little bit, more. It will get, the saint will get impacted by the goon. So maybe the significations of Jupiter might suffer a bit, but at the same time, Rahu is going to improve. the Goon is going to improve for sure. So we should see when the planets are in Shatabisha Nakshatra, Ketu is in the nakshatra of Swati, Rahu's nakshatra again. So this is also going to form a good connection in a way, a positivity attached to this connection, because the nexus is forming between the negatives plus one big benefic, that is Jupiter. So we cannot ignore Jupiter's presence in Aries sign, which is the sign #1 sign of the natural zodiac. So we all have that protection. So we cannot just write it off completely. Okay. Yes. So now we have to see if you are looking at Dhanishta and Shatabisha, it can, on your personal ground, it can give you professional growth. If any of these nakshatra, like Dhanishta, suppose we are taking Dhanishta, so we have to see, is there any of these nakshatras is the 10th nakshatra from there? So how do we calculate it? So we have to count backwards and we have to see which is the nakshatra. So it will fall in the same tride. So it will be Dhanishta. So for Dhanishta, it is Chitra. So anybody born in Chitra, so make your natal chart your base. So anybody born in Chitra or any planet in Chitra, so this Dhanishta transit of Saturn is going to be very beneficial for that person. All right. I hope you're getting this, Sonal. I can ask you only. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So this is on the personal level. I'm saying that if you are having any prominent planets in Chitra, then this Dhanishta transit is going to give you elevation. Otherwise, maybe, your Mars is ill positioned, but this Dhanishta transit is going to be positive then, because you are having maybe Saturn in your natal chart in Chitra, or you're having any other planet in Chitra. Or if we come to Shatabisha, if any prominent planets are in Swati, like in the transit, Ketu is in Swati, right? So there will be a break in your career and then there will be a new start. And if we talk about the layoffs, it is only because people who did not work during the work from home attitude, work from home culture, people didn't work, and Saturn is now, I would not say punishing, but Saturn is actually giving them the results. Because in Capricorn, they enjoyed. And then, like since Saturn transited through Aquarius, or we can say it was back and forth in the previous year in April to July. So people actually are now facing the brunt of Saturn's ingress in Aquarius. That is why the layoffs. All right. So it's like, there was this is the bubble which has exploded right now. It had to happen, of course. Now, if we see the 16th nakshatra, suppose you are, you have to make the base as your natal chart. If any of these nakshatras, Dhanishta, Shatabisha, is in the 16th nakshatra from there, so that also, and 23rd nakshatra, that becomes inauspicious. 18th and 25th are good. So make your natal chart your base. All right. I've given the example of Dhanishta and Chitra. Now, this is the Tara Chakra that I use a lot, and it works wonders. If you want to use it, just see the prominent planets also, or maybe your Dasha Lord when you were born. I see from all angles though, but let's not get into it. It'll become a little difficult. So let's see if you're born under a particular Dasha. So see if the planets are ingressing in these nakshatras. These are the lords I've just mentioned, not the nakshatras. So if they are transiting through these, then it is not a favorable time. So if you are born in Ketu Dasha, then Sun, Mars, and Jupiter Dashas are not going to be that favorable, or any transit in these nakshatras are also not going to be favorable. All right. Suppose Jupiter is going to be transiting Revati. Okay. So Sun's nakshatra, Mars nakshatra, and Jupiter's nakshatra born people will face the negative impact of that transit of Jupiter in Revati. Let's do the Dhanishta. Now, suppose Saturn is in Dhanishta. Okay. So let's see where is which nakshatra born people will not face the best of the results. So Ketu, the ones who are born in Ketu, the ones who are born in Sun, and the ones who are born in the Saturn's nakshatra. So these people will not like this, or maybe they will not feel the kind of results they're expecting with this Saturn's ingress in Dhanishta. Okay, so that's how you have to see, because as you can see, Ketu, Mars is nakshatra. Got it? So that's how you have to check. You have to give some time to this, because this is Tara Chakra, and these are the 3rd, 5th, and 7th nakshatras. So they will not be giving good results. All right. Now, you see, I use, being a student of Dr. Ken Rao, I use the double transit a lot. Now, as per this, the double transit is going to be taking place in Scorpio from 17th of January till 22nd of April, because Saturn and Jupiter both will be aspecting Scorpio sign simultaneously. So anybody who is waiting for any kind of event related to Scorpio sign, wherever your Scorpio sign is in the horoscope, that will trigger up. So like in the Chaitra Shukla Paksha UK chart, 4th house is getting active, where Jupiter and Saturn will be aspecting, correct? So 4th house will be having the aspect of this double transit, and related to the 4th house matters will trigger anything related to 4th house. Now that you have to just go and see the mundane thing, what all are signified by the 4th house, and that will trigger. Aries and Leo from the 22nd April onwards till the end of the year, because Jupiter will be ingressing in the sign of Aries, and Saturn will also be aspecting Aries, and Leo. Both will be aspecting Leo signs also. Jupiter will be looking at Leo from Aries, and Saturn is already looking at Leo sign. So when the double transit happens, this is going to be a very strong period. Must make a note from the 22nd of April onwards. This is going to trigger. So as per the Chaitra Shukla Paksha chart of what Paul had put up, so we have Aries, your 9th house, and we have Leo, your Lagna. So that means it is going to be actually triggering the events related to religion, related to the economy also. It's going to actually trigger towards positive also, I would say, because double transit is very essential. Jupiter's ingress, I'm going to be quickly taking you through. Jupiter is going to be in Pisces till 22nd of April, and these are the conjunctions. I don't have to get into the details. And Jupiter will be transiting Aries, and these are the conjunctions. This is basically, for you and your viewers, I've made so that, the dates you can make a note of, and it's handy, and I keep doing the videos from time and again, so it's pointless to do each and everything in detail in such a short time, right?
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So as
So
as a Scorpio Lagna, I have to watch out till April 22nd. Yeah.
But it's good for you, Sonal. It's good for you.
Okay.
It's good for you because you will be actually, anything which is stuck for you. Now you will see that blocked energy opening up. You will learn a lot. You will now learn a lot. This is the time for you to actually explore the under realms of life. See, look at the positive aspects always. I have always got a positive bias. There are negatives also, undoubtedly. I speak about the negatives as well. I'm considered to be a very blunt astrologer because I speak the truth and people don't like it. But there are two aspects to the coin, always two aspects, two sides. So we must consider both and the positive little up, right? So you are going to be doing well. Don't worry about that. You yourself will come back and tell me, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. So now this is the Jupiter's nakshatra movement, and it's very important because, it is going to be in Gandanta nakshatras. So it is going to be in Gandanta from 24th. See, it's somewhere I've mentioned in my video, actually, I forgot to mention here how long is the Gandanta transit. But that's a very important time because Gandanta is the time when you will feel the difference. You will make the difference towards the society because it's Revati to Ashwini. So Revati is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is very worldly and Ketu is very, very spiritual. That's why the transition. So you become suddenly very, introvert, or maybe you want to look at everything in a very different perspective. So now you have seen the world. Now you want to see what is the world inside you. That is why it's a Gandanta. I call it a junction point, like you're changing the metro, a subway. So you're just, how is it? It's so much of hustle and bustle. Suddenly, there is a peace and silence when you board the train, the other train. You deboarded from one train, or you have to rush. There's so much of hustle and bustle, and suddenly you are at peace, at calm. Oh, I've reached, in the other train. But the journey is not over. You're in the train, but you have to reach somewhere else. But it is like a transition from one train to another. So that is the station you're at. That is what is the Gandanta point. So that's how you have to see where you want to go. You're directionless. Maybe, you're going in for the first time this way. So you have to find your direction, and it is the Revati to Ashwini time. All right. So that is going to be for Jupiter also, for Rahu also, because Rahu will also be in the Gandanta zone. Mercury will be in the Gandanta zone. Sun will be in Gandanta zone one by one. So the inner planets definitely will be. Even Venus is going to be in Gandanta, after it gets exalted and gets into the Aries sign. So we have to see all the Gandanta positions of the planets, but it actually matters the most for the people who are born with Gandanta. And then they have to propitiate some gods, and they on the 27th day, and they have to do some rituals so that they don't feel or they don't suffer as much. Okay. It said that, people who actually are born under Gandanta, people talk that they are short-lived, or the father is short-lived, mother, all the myths. So it's just that they have they are special. I feel they are special because they have, they go through a lot, and then suddenly they get that peace. They suddenly get that peace. So I put them on the upper stature always. I feel that they are the best, the Gandanta babies. So don't worry about, see the positives. Jupiter will be aspecting Leo, Libra, Sagittarius from Aries, as you all know. And Sagittarius, when Saturn is also, if you remember, retrograde, will be looking at this sign. So Sagittarius people, for them, it will be double transit at that time, because Jupiter will be retrograde, and so will be Saturn, and they'll be looking at Sagittarius sign. So Sagittarius people, it's a good time for you guys. Whatever the blocked energies, I always say, will open up when there is double transit. It is a very powerful phenomena. I've used it in my personal readings. Coming to the Rahu Ketu ingress, as we all know, Rahu Ketu will be ingressing into Pisces, Virgo, November 29th. I use the true nodes. I've mentioned the date for the mean nodes also, so you can make a note of this. And Rahu will be transiting through Ashwini Nakshatra, which is ruled by Ketu. There's an exchange between Rahu and Ketu's nakshatras, which is very important. It's a closure time now. Every 9 years, there is an inverse return of Rahu Ketu. So that is why the cycle changes every 9 years. If you have experienced anything that you have to start or you have to end, you will see that is happening every 9 years. Go back and see what happened 9 years back. Now, Rahu and Ketu nakshatra transit, of course, how can we leave out on that? We have to consider that also as a closure time. Maybe, the materialistic you will become spiritual you, and the spiritual you becomes the material you. So this is like a culmination in time, and it is going to be giving you that opportunity to explore the outer and the inner realms. Now is the time to come to a conclusion. It's like a conclusive stage for you. Please make a note of the dates. You will get them everywhere, but it's handy. So that's why I've mentioned everything in a consolidated way. 4 eclipses, as you all know, are going to be happening in Ashwini, Vishakha, Chitra, and Ashwini. So these people, especially if you have prominent planets, see, as you mentioned rightly, that I look at the nakshatras very carefully. So that is why these are the nakshatras which are the Akarant nakshatras. Akarant means attacked. Okay. So when especially when there is an eclipse happening in these nakshatras, any of the nakshatras, when it happens in general, the phenomena is Akarant, they are attacked. So why do we use nakshatras? We use nakshatras to pick and choose the auspicious timing. That is why nakshatras are so important. So any auspicious tasks, we should not use these nakshatras at any cost. Travel, marriage, any kind of rituals, annaprashan, or anything. We should avoid these nakshatras. Ashwini, Vishakha, Chitra, and again Ashwini. Double time Ashwini is getting attacked. So these are called the Akarant nakshatra. So any kind of auspicious stars should be avoided during these nakshatras, ingress of moon, all right? Or any prominent planets if you have in these. So you should avoid, suppose education. So you see Mercury's nakshatra. Is Mercury transiting through these within the span of 2-3 months time? So avoid. Okay. So that's one more example apart from moon's ingress. All right. Now, you see, these are general remedies that I have given. Okay. Which everybody should do during the eclipses time, during the Saturn's ingress time, and during the sun's ingress time also. Sankranti, whenever sun is changing signs. One should worship Lord Vishnu, recite Gayatri Mantra, Aditya Hridaya Stotram, and also, these are good remedies if you do, if you have weak Saturn, and if you have Mercury, speech related issues, then you should chant Ganesha chants. And also there is this remedy that you should be doing for, these are general remedies for Surya Sankranti, whenever sun is changing signs. So this will actually help you. Okay. And these are the remedies for Venus actually. So you can make a note of this also. All right. Now after this, I'll be taking you through the example chart. And thanks for watching. Yeah. So let me share quickly. I'll not take too long because I have to rush. I have a meeting. Let me just share one more thing and then I will close. Is the chart sharing?
No.
It's loading. It says it's loading. 1 second. Let me start again. I think now it will load. Yeah. Sharing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is the same chart that Paul, just picked up. So I thought I'll just discuss this only because it makes sense. Now I'm going to be sharing with you a technique which is very easy to do and you can use it also in your day-to-day life. Now you see, the configuration of planets is in which house, which sign? 1 second. All right. Okay. So it's in the 8th house, correct? And in the Pisces sign. So you have to calculate this way. 8 plus 12. Why? Because it's in the Pisces sign which is happening. So this is one of the calculations I use to see the transit positions. Plus, now we add up all the planets, numbers. So we have Mercury, 5. We add up Sun plus Jupiter plus Moon plus 8, 12, 8, 12, Jupiter, 8, 12, 5, 1, 3, 2. So is equals to 31 and we bring it to 1 digit. So it becomes 4 is equals to Rahu. So the results that we are going to be getting of this Chaitra Shukla Paksha Pratipada would be of Rahu. Okay. So this is how you should be checking for all the planets, where they are, calculate. Suppose, let's take another example of Mars. Mars is in the 11th house. So 11 plus 3, because it's in the sign of Gemini. So 3 plus Mars is 9. So add them up and you will get what results this Mars is going to be giving. So Rahu is placed in the 9th house. So it will be giving the results of the 9th house. And then if you have a personal horoscope where, suppose you're Scorpio, so this will be giving the results of the 6th house for you, because Rahu is in the 6th house from the Scorpio sign, correct? Sonal is Scorpio, right?
Yes.
So you will be getting the results of the 6th house, and Rahu is going to be with Venus. So add plus Venus is number 6. Yeah. So that will be the result for you. Okay, for Scorpio. So for this is how you should calculate, then plus Venus. So obviously women counterpart and 9th house, spirituality, religion related issues, all that can happen. But female counterparts definitely are going to flourish and they're going to be doing well. And the film industry, glam industry, fashion industry is also going to flourish because of the Rahu and Venus combination. look at the positive aspect of it. Okay.
Ah, interesting. But I'm sure
So
they'll
this
flourish
is what,
after, yeah, after going through a real hard time.
yeah, I was like quick, because I feel that I should give the maximum information in the shortest duration.
Yeah.
So just try the calculation part, and if you can, just
Yeah.
let me know how it matched up with all the transits. So that will give the results.
Amazing.
Suppose Saturn also, we can take quickly an example. Saturn is going to be in the Saturn is 8 plus 11 is the sign Aquarius. So, okay, I add up the nakshatra also. 23rd nakshatra Dhanishta. Let's add up that also now.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So we come to 8 plus 11 plus 23 is 42 is equals to 4 plus 2 is equals to 6. So it's going to be giving the results of Venus. So check where Venus is transiting through. The whole transit cannot be giving the same results all through. So check, this is the shortest technique, shortest and the easiest bit to understand the transit. So Venus's results we'll be getting.
Amazing.
So check where Venus is transiting. Now Venus is going to be exalted. So Saturn is going to give very good results during this 1 month's time. Masses are going to be peaceful.
Okay, so you're saying that so for example, Saturn for Scorpio Lagna, Saturn moves into Aquarius in Shatabishaj. So you can just
24, add 24 into it.
24th plus 4th house, because Saturn is in the 4th house transit. Right?
Yes, that is something which you have to do personally. Like suppose for Aries people, it will be 11th house plus 11.
Yes.
That's how you have to add.
Amazing.
So for Scorpio natives, it is going to be the 4th house plus 4. That's addition. So if it is 6, as we have calculated, okay, you're talking about Shatabisha. So we get 7. We get, because 42 was 6. So 43 would be 7. So plus 4. 47 plus 4 is equals to 11. So you'll get the results of the second house. You'll be making good amount of money. You'll be connecting with your family during Shatabisha transit. That's just a reading I'm giving you quickly.
Wow, amazing. That is, what technique is this?
This is VL astrology technique.
Is it village astrology?
And it works wonders. I believe in me, it's the easiest way to predict. You can predict global events also. I can assure you. It can beat all the techniques.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to take the credit. Thank you so much. It's fine.
Oh my God, amazing.
Oh,
Vanita, thank you very much. I'm
Thank you so much.
amused. I'm totally amused.
Okay, I sign off now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank
you, everyone. Thank you so much for
you.
watching and giving your time patiently. Thank you. Bye, Mr. God.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay.